it is near impossible for you to look at me in the face as a grown adult male and tell me that the dialogue in A Few Good Men is not better than the dialogue in the 2025 Superman film.
I
I
think
thought she was a good Lois Lane, and she's a saucy biscuit. I liked her.
what's going on, everyone. Welcome back to Panels on Pages. My name is Dalibor Zujovic. I am the indie hype man, and today I am joined by Jordan Michael, a professional comic book artist, published author, and today a debater on Superman. How you doing, sir?
I'm doing well, buddy. Thanks for asking. I hope you're doing well as well.
I am. I am. I'm always excited to talk nerdy media. And this being a movie, one of the only movies I've ever seen multiple times in the theater during its initial theatrical run. I'm super excited to talk about this. So,
That's
Superman
awesome, man.
across the board, I think, is been one of the most anticipated films of this year, maybe of this decade. And I think there's from my perspective, and maybe this is just how the algorithms work. You what you get what you feed into it, right? So my reaction was very overwhelmingly positive. So everything I'm seeing is everyone's having a great time with it. Everyone's seeing a good experience. And then we recently connected over your art. I saw your art. You're a fantastic artist, and
Thank you. Thank you.
I posted my cousin's reaction, and you jumped in and you said because he called it the best superhero movie. Excuse me. He said the best comic book movie of all time.
The
At
greatest.
the
He said it was
greatest,
the
yeah. He said the
greatest.
greatest
Yeah.
comic book movie of all time.
Yeah. Yeah.
And you in the comments you said insane. This movie is dog water.
Yep.
So we got to kick it off there. That's a bold position to take. That's a bold position to take. I mean, let me just go to the notes because you raised some great points. So I definitely want to make sure we get everything. So first and foremost, I want to talk about like a bunch of people apparently in the comments. I didn't see everything, but I saw a bunch of the comments. A bunch of people were apparently like challenging your intelligence and your comic book knowledge and all that shit. Like it's like the nerdy shit people do. It's like, oh, you haven't read enough comics to, that shit's dumb. Like if you
Yeah.
guys are out there getting into people's comments and challenging their intelligence, challenge and like any dumb shit like that over an opinion, get the fuck out of here. That shit is
Yeah.
dumb. Like everybody has an opinion. Like we disagree and agree on a bunch of different shit. Especially this is nerdy media. This is literally all for funsies. Like we're
Correct.
all just trying to have the best time we can. So like
Correct. Correct. Correct.
everybody needs to calm the fuck down with all the like personal attacks kind of shit. Like that shit is goofy. That's goofy behavior. We're all, well, most of us are adults out here and like children, I get, children are going to be children, but like most of us are adults out here. We need to calm the fuck down and like, from my perspective, like some of the things you were saying, it made me believe you perceived certain things a type of way. So like that's when I was replying a couple times, I said, this is what it seems like because that's just based on the information I'm getting. I'm not trying to offend you for no reason. Like I don't, we just met basically. Like I don't know you for nothing.
Yeah.
So it'd be shitty as hell to just try to attack you for like I said, over an opinion. Like at the end of the day. So let me start everything here. I wrote like I think the most important question is here. What is Superman to you? Like overall throughout your history with the character. You said he's one of your favorite characters. Um, what is Superman to you?
It's a good question. There's a lot to unpack there in the beginning of your sequence, and I don't want to delve into too awful much, but I just want to go on and say I agree with you. As comic book nerds, as nerds in general, which let's not taste a lie and just agree that we're both probably that. I mean, at least I'll say that I am. I don't know if you can agree to being that as well. This type of banter for me, I'm not sure how old you are, but I'm 37 years of age. I've been doing this for a long time. I've been having a lot of banters with a lot of friends and family and coworkers, and
Of
this
course.
stuff brings me great joy. And to see it, I think this really mainly happens in an online platform. In person, it generally doesn't get so ugly, and I think people are a lot more brave over the keyboard than they are in person. And I don't mean that from a state of conflict. I just mean it from when you're having that banter with your buddies, it never gets so serious where they're questioning your intellect and
Yeah.
question your knowledge on certain characters and things of that nature. It seems to be more friendly of a banter. But I think online is just, that's what we do, and that's the price we pay for being on an online platform, and that's totally fine. Um, and as far as like, you admitted to making some comments as well. It doesn't offend, and you said you didn't want to offend me. It doesn't offend me at all. Pretty much, if I'm honest, nothing that happens online is going to offend me. You would have to really do something special to offend me online because I understand, what the platform is that we're working on, and it doesn't offend me. So you did not offend me. I just want to say that first and foremost. Now, to answer the question, which is it's complicated and it's a little bit convoluted for a multitude of reasons. But what is Superman to me? That's difficult to say. I would say I got into comic books and I started drawing comic books when I was roughly 6 or 7 years old. My sister and I, we share a different father, and but her dad was actually in the picture in our lives right around that age, and he was a huge comic book collector. He wasn't an artist or anything, but he was a collector, and that was really my introduction into comic books in the first place. And his favorite superhero at the time, he had a couple, but one of them was Superman, and it was just kind of one of those reoccurring themes that would happen in the household. When I got those moments to sit down with him and read comics together, it revolved around maybe like three or four central characters, one of which was Superman. So he became relatively important to me early on. Like I said, I'm 37 years old, so we're talking about 31 years ago, roughly. So I've been reading that content, and then as comic book fans, we backlog and we read things that are important that are even before that time, perhaps because obviously that character's been around for a copious amount of time. But
Yeah.
what he means to me is maybe a little bit different than what he means to other people in that I am, as you said at the beginning of the show, I am a professional comic book illustrator, and I genuinely don't think I would be here if that character didn't exist. He means a lot to me for a multitude of reasons, and not only in my professional career, but also my personal life. And I don't mean that in an emotional sense, but the character is somebody that I hold in high regard, and I've always appreciated his story and his arc over the years, and he's just. I just think you have to pay homage to characters like Superman. I'm not sure. Obviously, this is worth a debate for another day, but I'm not sure. And I think it's reasonable to argue this that a lot of these superheroes that we love and have came to love over the years would even exist if Superman didn't in the first place. Maybe they wouldn't. It's worth an argument, but certainly wouldn't have been fast tracked. And I like to pay homage towards these things, and I put those types on a pedestal, whether it's in filmography or comic books. I really like to pay homage to those characters, and I think Superman's an important part of comic books. I think he holds a major role in it, and I would even argue that he's the greatest superhero of all time. So I suppose in short and not short,
Mm.
that's kind of what he means to me.
Gotcha, gotcha. Okay. So, I mean, completely reasonable, like completely understandable. And I get that when it hits you at a certain age, like that's me and X-Men.
Yeah,
X-Men connected with me in a way that I didn't even fully realize until later on. Um, I'm not like I've said this many times, but like I'm a pretty surface level guy. Like if the thing's entertaining and if the plot is like easy to understand, I'm there. Like you got me. If I have to like dig in to like try to figure out what this meant and that meant, I'm losing interest as we go. So if it's something where unless obviously unless it's something where it's like that's the whole point, like oh my goodness, what's it called? The Inception, right? Inception's like you got to figure it out. The whole premise, like Memento, is
sure,
like a figure it out kind of
sure.
thing. But I mean, like
I love both those movies.
if it's like an entertainment movie, like Transformers, it's an easy one to go to. Like the first Transformers movie, pretty straightforward movie. Not a whole like. Could you dig and get some more like symbolism and all this? Sure, but it's like I think about it in the way of like back in school, like I read books, and if there was a good book, it was an entertaining book, that's what it was. When my teacher would ask me to do a book report, I'm like, I hate everything about this. I don't like doing the digging. Like, what's the theme? I don't fucking know. It's a good book. like, like that's
Mhm.
just I just not who I am. But then years later, I listened to Jan Miles Explain the X-Men, which is a fantastic podcast. I've talked about it many times. They dig through the whole history of it and go almost like era by era, and if not quite, but issue by issue, um, and really just kind of dive into like the meaning and the allegories and everything. And I learned the term found family, and I was like, Oh, that explains everything for me. Cause like I mean, I'm from another country originally, so like I was taken away from my family and then taken away from my friends and then taken away from my friends again for like various reasons. The well, like war originally, and then it was like we moved from Chicago to the suburbs and all this stuff. So it's like all these eras of me like being pulled away from everybody I care about, everybody I want to hang out with. So like the X-Men being just like essentially like you grab on to just these random people from all over the place and you work together to create this thing. So like I get completely that of like latching onto something early and it meaning something to you on a deep level. So that's dope, and I love Superman is that for a lot of people, I think, and I think a big part of that is because he's been so prominent throughout history, right? Like we're coming up on 100 years of Superman.
Yeah,
Like I'm gonna be alive for 100 year Superman celebration. I'm
correct.
super psyched for that. Like I can't
Yeah,
even fathom what that's gonna look like in pop culture, in the universe, and media. It's gonna be wild, and I'm here for it. I'm here for it completely.
for sure. 100%.
So before we get into some of the topics that you brought up, I want to touch on a comment you made in your first response, um, where you could say Charles Barkley is the greatest basketball player of all time, but you said that would be factually incorrect. And I wanted to touch on that a little bit because I have a very strong belief that uh, opinion is not fact, and the two can overlap, but they don't necessarily overlap, right? The constant debate, is it Kobe or is it Michael, right? But like that's all personal, right? If you think
Kind of.
Michael, well,
Kind
but
of personal.
no, but we can, I think, with basketball especially, because there are like explicit point systems, explicit like awards, explicit championships. 100% you can create, if a group of people, whoever decides these are the let's say the most championship rings, the most MVPs, whatever, the most points per game average. If you
Mhm.
say those three are the category, well then you just do the math, right? It's just a math problem at that point. You just figure out who is the best based
Kind
on
of,
those
but
three.
yes.
Uh,
Kind of, but yes, I agree.
whereas like if there are people like I've seen this debate because I'm not a big sports guy, but I've seen this debate play out online and with my friends. People are like, oh,
Hmm.
it's Michael, oh, it's Kobe. Now it's was it LeBron? That's the other
Hmm.
one that's kind of like up in the debate. And everyone's got different reasons. And I'm like, this is all interesting. Like, but these are all like personal reasons. Like you like this factor of it. You like somebody like a lot of people are bringing up the fact that LeBron like brought his kid in and like he's like now created a legacy within the sport. And I was like, okay, well, I mean, that's just like something you care about. Like
Hmm.
that doesn't mean anything. Like unless everyone agrees that that means something, like or like an official body agrees that it means something, right? So it's interesting to see. But like I said, if you but it, quantitative there's quantitative information within basketball that can be used to determine, let's say, the greatest of all time.
Hmm.
And you could do that with film, with uh, box office numbers, seats sold, like that kind of like at that point, I think it ends up being either Titanic or friggin' like
Avatar.
Avatar, yeah, because it's been in theaters like 14 times at this point. So it's like that kind of thing. And again, if we all sit down and agree, hey, these are the rules for saying this is the best of all time, sure, we could pick it that way. Outside of that, I think everything else is opinion. Because it just it doesn't make sense that we should like because you made a lot of comparisons specifically um to like Iron Man 1 and 2, which I thought was interesting that you didn't bring up 3, and Guardians 1 and 2 but not 3, and Watchmen, which is like that selection is wild. That's a wild selection. That's a crazy like range of comparison to compare Superman to all three of those. What I thought was very, very interesting. But you were like, dialogue is better in those, and plot is better, but like ultimately, like those are just opinions, right? You saying that.
I disagree.
Why do you disagree?
I disagree for a multitude of reasons. I think that these things get a little more convoluted as it goes, and I think they get a little more convoluted even if you're going to look at something like basketball. And right now, I would say in the past decade or at least half a decade, the real debate has been between LeBron James and Michael Jordan for the greatest of all time. The reason that gets a little bit conflated is because when you're measuring these things that are objective realities, it becomes difficult when both of them have done enough. That's what makes it difficult. That's where it becomes really it's not a matter of opinion, but it's a matter of finding out what you can justify that the individual has done that makes it warrant that individual being the greatest of all time. And so like you could use basketball is the easiest to use, but you could use things like boxing as well. And I would say undisputed greatest of all time for most people's lists is Muhammad Ali, and it's that way for a multitude of reasons. But one of the major reasons that it's that is because he transcended the sport. And so that's why Michael Jordan fans have a tough time even giving LeBron James or Kobe, when that was a debate maybe 8+ years ago, they have a hard time giving LeBron that same nod, is because he didn't transcend the sport the same way that Michael Jordan does. And these things are measurable; they're quantifiable to some degree. Um, but then when you move it over to film, this is where it gets very difficult for people, and I understand it, and I actually don't disagree. Like if you watch all the videos that I posted that leads up to this particular conversation that we're having, in every one of those videos, every one of them, I made sure to say that it is totally fine to like a movie. That there, I have no qualm with that whatsoever. I will never argue that ever. I wouldn't even begin that conversation. If this particular debate was based on that, I would literally leave the conversation right now, because you cannot argue with somebody's emotions and their feelings. But there's quantitative steps that you can take that are objective in a criteria. And the reason that you know this is a reality is simply because of this reason: if things are replicable and they're teachable, then they're quantifiable. And people go to film school for a purpose. So that's the thing. That's the disconnect. People want to say that they like things just because they like them. They think that their opinion is special and they like things only because they like them. But if that were the case, then movies could be muddy and it would just be a popularity contest. But that's not what it is. The Oscars exist for a reason. The reason that they exist is because that is what they are judging them on. They're not judging them on a popularity contest. If they were judging them on a popularity contest, Endgame would have won all the Oscars that it had to win in the year that it came out, because it was the most popular movie to come out. If that were the case, then Hurt Locker wouldn't have beat Avatar in a slew of different categories when James Cameron and his ex-wife also respectively won Oscars when it came out, because Avatar was significantly more popular. The reason that they don't win that is because you can quantify it, because you can understand what good is. And the reason you can understand what good is because it is teachable and you can replicate it. That's why people go to film school. If they go to film school and when you go there, your teacher has a subset to teach you on how to draw emotion out of human beings, so they can say things like, this is my favorite movie. This is the best movie. This is the greatest movie. These things are teachable, and people they don't like this. And I think that that is actually the heart and the crux of this particular debate. And I think you did it as well just a minute ago, and I'm not saying that you're wrong for doing it. It's just I don't think most people think outside of that particular box. We want to just say that the things that we like are the things that we like, and there's no argument there. But there is an argument there, because, like I said, if it's teachable, if you can replicate it, then it is quantifiable. If it is quantifiable, then we can add objective reality to it. So when I say, is Superman good in these three pillars of cinematography to the other movies, I'm speaking specifically objectively. So when somebody says Superman is the greatest superhero movie of all time, that is not a subjective statement. It is an objective statement within the subsets of an objective statement within the subset of a subjective perspective. And this is so hard for people to wrap their heads around, and they really hate when people press this, because they just want to have their opinion and they want it to be reality. But it's not reality. Reality is films are judged on a curve. They are judged with quantifiable, objective realities that we all come to know. If it wasn't the case, the same is true for art as well. People hate this. And I tried to make an example of this before in the Michelangelo to the stick figure, or somebody who's 16 years old or 6 years old who's just starting out their illustrative career, and they're pitted against Michelangelo. And there is a factual reality in there that people don't want to say. You can say with all validity that you like the 6-year-old's art better than you like Michelangelo's art. You can say that with perfect validity. But if you change the dialogue just a little and you say, the 6-year-old's art is better than Michelangelo's art. Now, what we have to do, you have to be held responsible and accountable for what it is that you're saying. And in order to be held accountable for it, there is an objective reality that has to happen there. And when those objective truths start to fall, there isn't a world, it's not subjective. There isn't a world where you could argue that a 6-year-old's art is better than Michelangelo's art, because it's not. Because Michelangelo's art can be taught, it can be replicated, and thusly it is quantifiable. The same is true for film. So that is the crux of my entire argument. You
Okay.
can say that Superman is your favorite superhero movie of all time. And you can say that with perfect validity. What you can't say is Superman is the greatest superhero movie of all time. You can say it, but it has to be backed up with objective reality. And so my comparison in this particular instance between Iron Man 1 and 2, Guardians of the Galaxy, Watchmen, is you can't take those three pillars, the teachable, replicable pillars, and you cannot compare them to other movies and it still be the one that is the greatest. And if you can't do that, then it can't be the greatest superhero movie of all time. People have a hard time with this, but this is truth. It's not this isn't me putting myself in a position to where I want to be right or I want to be wrong or I give a flying, can I swear in here?
Yes.
Give a flying fuck what other people like. I don't care if your cousin, I didn't know that was your cousin, but if that was your cousin and he thinks to him that to him it was the greatest superhero movie of all time, I have no argument with it.
I mean, that's what it
I
was. I
would
said, "What are your thoughts about Superman?" I opened the video by saying, "What are your thoughts about Superman?"
Yeah, no, I have no, I
But
don't know how
but
that's
like
relevant.
well, you said, if that's his opinion, that is his opinion, and I don't necessarily agree with him. I think his qualifications for it are different than what I needed, but I have sort of I don't want to call it a rebuttal question, but I just have a question based on what you just said. Uh,
Mhm.
Even though these things, well, kind of like a sequence of questions. So all the obviously yes, our film school exists, art schools exist, and these specific things can be taught and are replicable. If if what you're saying is true, and if the fact that they're replicable makes these criteria determining like factual as opposed to opinion based, why isn't every movie the same?
That's the reason every movie's not the same. The question isn't if that's not true, why aren't they the same? The answer is in the question. The reason that they're not the same is because that is a truth. That's why it is. If it wasn't a truth,
Well, okay,
all
so everyone
movies
that
could be
graduated
the
film
same.
school should be able to create the same exact movie.
Oh no, that so there's well that this is a whole different conversation, but essentially the crux of this conversation would be competency. People are not it's the same thing as anything else. Like first of all, being creative is very difficult. It's not an easy thing to do. I don't think it really gets the respect that it deserves. Being creative is very difficult. So being able to manipulate what is being taught and what is replicable and turning that into something that is special is extremely difficult. It takes a relatively high IQ for a multitude of reasons, and it takes a special individual with a complex life. And we could get into this in another conversation, but this is more psychological. We're really getting into the psychoanalysis of this all. But the same reason is true for why is somebody a better lawyer than they are to another human being. There's better lawyers in the world. There's better doctors in the world. There's
Sure,
better so on and so forth. So the
sure,
reason
but
that the things can't be taught is a multitude of reasons. Who were they taught by? Why were they taught? What is their inspiration? How competent are they in the way that they do things? You could
right.
pit somebody like a Quentin Tarantino against somebody else.
So in that response, you then sort of invalidate your position because if there is an inherent individualism in the results based on these quantitative things that you're saying can be taught,
Hmm.
Cinematography can be taught, like certain styles of cinema. I mean, obviously, there's whole YouTube videos. I'm also I don't call myself fucking cinematographer. I make YouTube videos. I've been doing YouTube videos for 10 years. I've been studying it fucking for 10 years. So like, there's whole channels dedicated to like replicating the I don't know, the James Gunn, the like Michael Bay, like all these like specific styles, and to like
Hmm.
replicating them. And like, if I showed you the clip without the context, you'd be like, what Michael Bay movie is this from? Whatever movie is this? Like, and because like you said, it can be taught, it can be replicated. But at the end of the day, those people don't make those movies because they don't perceive life that way. They don't perceive creativity that way. Their individualism inherently creates a different product, right? It's the same reason not every artist that graduated from the Joe Kubert School of Art is an Eisner award winning artist, because that's
That's
just not.
competency.
Yeah, this competition with individualism creates different results.
But the bad artists,
His kids, Andy and Adam Kubert, brothers, is relatively the same age, different art styles. Not drastically different, but different
not
enough that
familiar with
you
them.
cannot mistake the two. And then Adam's daughter is now an artist, and her shit is different entirely again. So it's like, this is the
Fine
same
and fair.
family. But the individualism creates different products, right? It creates different products. So inherently, if you say I like a certain style, or I like whatever, like, I think a lot of what you were saying in your video, in your original video, was, oh, people see this and like James Gunn's behind it, so they give it a lot of credit.
Hmm.
I don't necessarily think that's a factor. uh I think people are excited. I'm sure there are some people who are just like ride or
Definitely a
die.
factor.
I think
Definitely
I'm
a
sure
factor.
there are some people that are like diehard James Gunn fans, and they're gonna watch whatever, and they're gonna slob the knob no matter what. I'm
Correct.
sure that exists. Like, sure. But
So
I
it's a
think
factor.
but I think that's a very small percentage of people, because
It's irrelevant to quantify it. It's
I think
irrelevant to quantify it.
I mean, I think it is relevant, because I think you put a lot of weight on it in trying to disqualify those people's opinions and
No,
positions.
I didn't put a lot of weight on it. For videos, I had a brief mention of it in one. So it's not, I didn't put a lot of weight on it. I put more weight on what it is that we're talking about. No, and I'm not trying to run away from the reality of that. But again, I answered the question. I think I answered it relatively reasonable in that competency is not generational. Just because you're, I mean, and in fact, again, I don't want to get to the psychoanalysts analytics of this all, but generally speaking, if somebody in your family has a higher IQ, as far as reality is concerned, it generally bases itself out depending. So if your parents have a super high IQ, the child will not have as high of IQ. The world likes to balance things out in the center. There's no difference from that. Even if you have a parent that has a super low IQ, the child will generally have a higher IQ. It always wants to go to that median level. So if you have a parent that is superhuman in one thing or another, it's actually extraordinarily rare for the child to have the same thing. That this can be seen across sports, arts. So just because the Kubert family lived in one thing and there was one variant of them that was special, does not mean that the rest of them are going to be special. And the key phrasing in this is art in any medium can, these words are very important, can be taught. It doesn't mean that just because you are taught something, you're as good as the person that's teaching you, for example. And also, that's a huge factor as well. Where you go to art school, how involved the teacher is, where your passions lie. There,
Of
this is a
course.
this is a subset of variables that we shouldn't even dive into because it's so difficult to like analyze it properly. But
Sure.
these are variables. At the end of the day, though, to make it the most simple thing, is it is a level of competency. So it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. Like if you and I go to art school, or that's a great example. If you and I go to art school, especially with me being where I'm at in art, but I'm assuming we're right around the same age. If we go to art school, I'm burying you in every category that needs to be, because I mean, respectfully, I'm not trying to
No,
be a
no, no.
dick. Like,
You Without question. I'll show you my sketchbooks without question.
yeah, without question, you're getting buried. And then but then this conversation could happen after the fact, and you could then ask the audience, well, why aren't we the same? Because we went to the same art school. There's way too many variables to bring into the play. The only relevant variable is it can be taught. It can be replicated. But just because you can show somebody Quentin Tarantino and show him exactly how he does it to some degree doesn't mean that you're going to be competent enough to do it. So it
Right.
doesn't matter that if somebody goes to the same school that Quentin Tarantino does, why does he not have the same awards that Quentin Tarantino does? That doesn't take away from the original argument in that these things are quantifiable. They can be judged objectively, and they can be judged objectively.
But
You
how
cannot, you
can they
can
be judged objectively if there is this notion of competency, right? Different creators and
be
different directors and different writers, they all do things
easily,
different.
you can
How?
easily judge it. Well,
How
you
can
can
you
easily judge it.
let's just look at
So,
something like dialogue, right? Let's say
yeah,
how what criteria are you basing the quality of the dialogue in any two movies? It doesn't have to be
a,
Superman, but any two movies.
a multi. First of all, again, this is convoluted and it's very complex, especially when you're dealing with dialogue. Especially that's, to be honest with you, that's one of the more
Like,
difficult
let's pick
things
something
to.
else. Pick something
No,
else.
no,
Plot.
dialogue's fine. I like complex. Dialogue's fine. If you take, this is a good example. If you take, let's assume, and I don't know, I only have my phone in front of me, but if you have the ability to do it and you were to Google what the best dialogue in any film of all time is, I have to assume that The Godfather 1 or 2 is going to pop up in there. I have to
Mm.
assume that. So you cannot, like, this is the thing. We could sit here and analytically break this down just between the two of us, and we could just go on a rabbit trail
Let's see.
of of
Best
of
dialogue in movie history. Mm. But again, this is just like listicles. AFI's 100 years, 100 movie quotes, like the AI result, which, fuck AI,
Yeah,
but like,
that's not great. Well, let's okay. Well, then we'll do this. We'll
however,
put
The Godfather is one of the list.
okay. So
Casablanca, The
great
Godfather,
movie,
Sunset
great dialogue,
Boulevard,
great
Pulp
dialogue.
Fiction, Silence of the Lambs, A Few Good Men.
You could pick, yeah, you could pick any of those movies, but let's just because I brought it up, let's pick The Godfather just for the sake of this argument.
Okay.
Without we don't have to do it. That's how you know it's easy. That's how you know it's quantifiable. Without us having to dive down analytically on what have you ever seen The Godfather 1 or 2?
Nope.
Fuck. Have you seen Pulp Fiction?
Uh, a long time ago. A
Fuck.
Few
What
Good
was
Men is one of my favorite movies of all time.
Okay, Few Good Men, great dialogue. Also a movie I love. Let's use Few Good Men then because you've seen it. It's near impossible, and I'm only being respectful when I say that. It is near impossible for you to look at me in the face as a grown adult male and tell me that the dialogue in A Few Good Men is not better than the dialogue in the 2025 Superman film. It's and the thing is you know this because it's teachable. You know this because what that movie did is something that is replicated. It can be replicated, and it's something that they're taught to do. That's the thing about it. That's what makes it so difficult is because I wouldn't even go in to say that the particulars of that movie, rather you're talking about writers or directors or whatever it is better than James Gunn. I wouldn't even say that. That's a whole different conversation. Unequivocally, the dialogue in A Few Good Men, I could name 3 scenes in A Few Good Men, which that has a slew of them, that has better dialogue than the rest of the dialogue in Superman 2025. You can't.
I could name a single line of dialogue in that movie that is better than some entire films.
Okay,
But
thank you.
again, but
So
not a but. That's my opinion.
no, it's not. So I mean, it is your
I mean, it
opinion, but
is.
no, it is your opinion. But it's only your opinion when you phrase it properly. So you can say, I personally think that the dialogue. You could say it in reverse though. But you and I would both know that the person who said it would be wrong, and that's actually an important distinction as well. When a person takes that accountability into themselves, when they say things like, I personally think the dialogue in Superman 2025 is better than the dialogue in A Few Good Men. They can say that, but what happens is you and I judge the person, not the creative that they're talking about. That's what happens. So you can say that and you can say I think it's better, but you and I both would look at that person and think to ourselves, what the fuck movie did you watch to where you think that the dialogue in A Few Good Men is worse than the dialogue in Superman? So we judge the person. But if then they say I think the dialogue in Superman 2025 is better. That's the difference in the dialogue. That's a difference in the narrative. If they say it's better than A Few Good Men, now you and I both, because we both love the movie, get to use reality. We get to use objective, factual reasoning on why that isn't true, because it is not true.
And
It's
well, see,
not.
and
It's
right
not
there
based in
is
fact.
I disagree with you as to that next step. Because if someone were to tell me, I think the dialogue in Superman is better than A Few Good Men,
That would be different.
or I think it's better,
Now,
I
I think it's just better. That's
but
the difference.
but
I think is the person.
and perhaps
It is objective.
perhaps this is our inherent difference here.
Hmm.
Uh I am of the firm belief that unless we are sitting down to critically analyze something,
Hmm.
like if you and I made this conversation about critically analyzing the Superman film,
Hmm.
we could get into an entire slew of shit that would 0% affect how much I like that movie. Because I think when people talk about something, especially generally and especially on the internet, they are coming from a place of I think, I believe.
But I made 4 videos. And this is why I'm going to push back on this. I made 4 videos stating very, very specifically that I was not ever talking about. I couldn't have been more clear in
No,
those
no,
videos
absolutely. Yeah, you were very
that
clear
I
that you were not talking about opinions.
and that's it. So if somebody says to me, they could come up to me and say, "I loved that movie." I will just like I just explained. I will judge the person because I can't. You can't judge the creative at that point because it's on the person. I will, because I'm human, have a judgment on the person. If somebody came up to me and said, "I think Superman 2025, like your cousin, is the greatest superhero movie of all time," I'm I'm gonna be like, "That's not the smartest human ever." I'm forced to think that. I'm not saying it's true. I'm just
Interesting,
like
interesting.
I'm human, so like
So,
we have our judgments.
so a lot of your opinion on the film seems to be, and correct me if I'm wrong here, but just based on like what you've said in your videos and here, uh, you seem to be comparing it a lot to other things. That's actually like a lot of my notes from your original reply are about the fact that you were talking about like one of your earlier statements is you're like, are we only pitting it against comic book movies?
Hmm.
Um, I think generally I would say yes. Like I would never, for any reason, compare Schindler's List to any comic book movie.
Well, you shouldn't because they would all get buried because that's a phenomenal
Well,
movie.
no, no, I just mean like I don't even think it's appropriate, and I mean like on a
Depends.
like on a social level, but also like I don't think they're the same caliber of film. Let's take the what people debate. Let me rephrase. A lot of people believe this, and I let them have it because I don't care as much as they do. But a lot of people, and I would argue most people, believe that The Dark Knight is the greatest superhero film of all time. And some people say the greatest film of all time. Those people are crazy. um, that's my opinion. But so taking that,
But you see
even
how
that,
you just judge the person?
oh
You
yeah,
see how you just
100%, 100%,
you
because
you
I
have no
think that's a
choice.
crazy precision.
And that's exactly what I'm doing.
No, no,
That's
I feel you. I
there's
feel
no
you.
difference. You just did it. It was a little Freudian slip there.
It
So
wasn't a slip. I did it on purpose.
you do judge the person when they
No, a
make these
hundred
outlandish
percent,
claims.
a
You
hundred
have
percent.
to because
But
we're only
because
human.
yeah, yeah, but because but also that's like the whole nature of the debate, right? But to me, the debate is opinion versus opinion. I want to hear why you don't like this movie, and we'll get into like the details. I'm super curious because like I've got some great notes and like about the things that you brought up. So I'm super interested to see like where you're coming from because I don't know if I like did a video and I deleted it like my phone freaked out, so I don't remember which video I posted. But the video I always go back to is Daredevil. I remember the first Daredevil movie, like the 2004
Ben
Ben
Affleck,
Affleck.
yeah. Mhm.
I walked out of that movie, big smile on my face, like I like cracked up when they did the fucking the medical or the Moore guy. His name was Kirby, and I was like, "That's fucking awesome!" Like I was geeked walking out of that movie. I literally woke up the next day and I was like, "Man, that was not a good movie." I was like, "That just like,
Not
damn."
good.
It's
I liked it
not a
too,
good
but
it's
it's not
not a
good.
good movie. But like I will watch it to this day. You can put it on. I will have no problem watching it because it was an enjoyable movie. And I but I still think both of those positions are opinions. The Transformers is a great example. I've watched that movie countless times, literally countless times. Uh, I think it's a bad film. I think
It
it's
is a
a
bad film.
I think it's a bad film, but like I fucking love it. I fucking
Me
love
too.
it.
I do
And
too.
like but like I can make that distinction. Like that's why when people say like the Dark Knight is the greatest movie of all time, I'm like, that's a strong position to have. Like um so I think let me just jump into some of this. So okay, so you were saying uh are we pitting it against comic book movies? I think to most people, media, movies, but most media is not like a competition for some like hypothetical best ever. Um, like there's no, there's no. I don't think anyone. I don't think most people. Maybe there's some like crazy like cinephiles that are just like super into like finding like the peak of filmmaking or something. Uh, but like I think most people are not being like is this movie better than the last one I watched? Like I watch it, and if a movie like hits me a certain way, and I feel like it it calls for analysis, then I may compare it. But like I watch every single film that I watch for the first time. Like I'm not watching it in comparison to other things. I enjoyed Madam Web. Without question, that movie has the most technical issues I have ever seen in a feature film. Holy crap! There were several times during the film because I saw it in theater because I was like, people are like losing it about how bad this movie is. I gotta see it in theaters. And so I'm watching and I'm like seeing just there's a scene where the one character's facing the mirror. The dialogue that is being spoken is not what is being said in the mirror. And I'm like, holy crap. Like it's not like blink and you miss it. It's like you might need to blink to miss it. Like the technical issues in that film are ridiculous. But like the plot kind of captivated me. So I was in. I was bought in with the mom studying the spider shit. Like I was actually bought in. So by the end of the movie, I was like, "Oh, that was actually kind of fun." Like it is it a great film? Absolutely not. Without like and I think everyone involved knows it's not a good movie. Um but like everybody wants a paycheck, so they did the thing, right? But I also don't sit here and be like, well, Superman's way better than Madam Web. Like I'm never comparing Madam Web to anything else because I'm never comparing anything. Like you know what I'm saying? Like the for me, I compare this Superman, and this is just because of the history of the recent DC universe prior to this reset. I compare that to Man of Steel and the appearances of Superman in the Snyderverse. That is the only comparison I feel is relevant, if not valid. Uh, so to,
You can do those things. You can do all those things. They're it's
but
a
I just think that
it's
most
irrelevant.
people aren't looking like they're not watching films and being like, this is better than like every other film. And I know a lot of people, in especially in like nerdy circles, like look for they talk about the top five, top 10, top 20. You know, they make lists. They want and I feel this all stems out of engagement, which is an entirely different conversation. But like they make these lists of like what their best MCU film is, their best comic book film is, right? And that's the comparisons they're making. But I feel like that's all for engagement because, like, my top 10 list is irrelevant to anybody else. It means nothing. It's what I like and what I think is best. And the list changes depending on how I'm feeling on a given day. Like, some days it's Infinity War Endgame at the top, other days it's Iron Man. Superman's on in there now in that mix now. So like it's it's like it's but it's all for different reasons, right? Um and so you talked about like what movies are being judged on like in comparison to this like these factors and these dialogue and character development and plot. Um but like most people aren't doing that judging, right? Would you
That's
agree?
irrelevant to me.
Okay, so you're saying just you're taking the position of a critic, like of a film critic. Like that is how you choose to interact with the film medium.
In that, I we both have agreed now that I have said and articulated my point in that I think it's totally okay for human beings
Of
to
course.
like the movie. I would not necessarily say that I take a critical position on film. I think maybe naturally I do as a fan of film, but I don't give a fuck what people like or don't like. I really don't give a fuck. I couldn't
I
give
mean, as an
one less
artist,
of
you
a fuck.
have to, right?
No,
Because you
I
have to
don't.
make
No,
like
I really
if you're gonna
don't.
make for DC, like they're gonna tell you what to do, and you have
Well,
to make
they're
shit
going to
that
tell
is
me
appealing to the
they're going to tell me
reader.
what to draw. They're going to tell me what to draw, not how to draw it. But that's irrelevant as well. I don't give a fuck what people like or don't like. When it bears, and I mean this when I say it. I can't. I mean, my word is my bond. It's all I have, which is why I think words are so important. I couldn't give a fuck less what people like. If you like the Superman movie, like you, all the movies that you just named, I mean, like the Madam Web movie, for example, you knew it when you fucking said it that that movie is dog shit. That movie is a dog shit movie.
It's a bad
But
movie.
because you liked it, that doesn't mean anything to me. That's totally fine.
Right,
To
it
be
doesn't
honest,
affect you. We can sit here and
but
debate it absolutely and discuss like
yeah,
and critique it,
but
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 like
you
me
could use
liking it
Madam
versus
Web.
you not, like it means nothing.
But you could use Madam Web. We could take out Superman 2025 and we could use Madam Web as we as a central focus point. Madam Web is not a good movie. This is all I'm saying about this is exactly what I've been saying the whole time. I think people just have a very tough time with this. If I'm honest, I'm not, and I'm not saying you. I
No,
really
no, no.
truly am not. I think some people have. There's an ego with human beings' opinions. They want
Oh,
them to weigh
100%.
more. They want them to weigh more than they are. And then when human beings like me who come in and are critical about it, they fold. They can't, they don't deal with it well. They think that I'm judging them as a human, which I'm not. This is all I'm saying. At the end of the day, this is all I'm saying. Let's take out Superman. Madam Web is not a good movie. It is a bad movie. If we take all of the objective realities that we can base anything off of in film, Madam Web is fucking terrible. It's not a good movie. Period. Point blank. You would have a hard time disagreeing with me on that. But if that movie had a fucking 98% on Rotten Tomatoes and every person that I talked to loved that movie, I don't give a fuck. You can like the movie. But don't look at me in the face and tell me that it is a good movie and argue with me that it is a good movie, that it has all of the pillars to make it a good movie. The easiest way to do this, to answer a question I didn't get to answer quite earlier, is why I was comparing other movies to other movies. It's the easiest path to make them quantifiable. It's what we do as human beings. It's literally how we're wired. And I made this in a comment before. If you've seen the first movie you've ever seen in your entire life, you were born at 35 years old and you go watch Madam Web. It is both the best and the worst movie you've ever seen in your life. And then if the second movie that you see is A Few Good Men, then you have a point of comparison to then judge if
What
Madam
a
Web is.
jump in film that would be.
I'm just, it'd be terrible. But I'm just saying you would then have a point of comparison to compare Madam Web to another film. You can insert any film you want, Lord of the Rings, Return
Sure.
of the King, let's say. Doesn't matter what it is. But then now you get to say one of these is my favorite movie and one of these is my least favorite movie, and that's fine. And you can say with validity. But then you can also say one of these is a better movie and one of these is a worse movie. And then we do this as human beings as we continue to log in all the movies that we see. So to make a comparison is just what we do as humans. When we look at a fat ass walking down the road, we only have the comparison to other fat asses that we liked walking down the road. When we see a beautiful woman, she's only so beautiful. But if you've seen an ugly woman and she was the only woman you ever seen in your life, she's both the most beautiful woman you've ever seen in your life and the ugliest. So comparisons is all we have. It's irrelevant if we're gonna, I mean, really for the like, you don't have to compare Madam Web to any fantastical film to know that the film is bad. So to me, it doesn't matter if you pit Madam Web only against comic book movies, it's still a dog shit movie. If you compare it against some of the greatest movies of all time,
Still
it's
not the
still a
worst
dog
though.
shit movie. It's not the worst movie ever made, but I'm
No,
just
it's still
saying
not the worst superhero movie. Like it's not even the worst superhero comic book movie.
there's I mean, well, it depends on what we're talking about, but it's I agree with
Well,
you.
I
It's
mean,
not the
just like
worst.
from a technical perspective, from a technical
Correct.
perspective,
It's not the worst.
it's not the worst. That would be
Correct.
Fantastic because that movie can eat a dick.
It's bad. It's bad. It's really not good. Again, and it's like this is the thing. What we're talking about here is so important because we could take any of these movies that we all agree are bad, and we could say the same thing that I've been saying in 4 videos. It doesn't matter if you like it, but it's important. The dialogue is important. The narrative is important. So if you say I like the movie, fine. Go give it a 9 out of 10 on Rotten Tomatoes if you want to. But if you say the movie is a good movie, which is what I've been arguing with people for 4 videos, maybe even 5 now on TikTok, is that it is a good movie. That's what people are arguing with because they have such a hard time. And I honestly, it's so unrelatable to me. I can't quite comprehend it, like necessarily. They have such a difficult time
But
saying
I think,
the movie isn't good, but
I,
I
I,
liked it.
I think to at least to everyone that's interacted with you, and because I know some of them, I think based on other things, based on like other content of theirs that I've seen, I think most of them are in a position where
They're using opinion.
any person calling something the best is coming from a position of opinion.
And they're welcome to do that. And I would be okay with this if I didn't make 4 or 5 videos deeply explaining this.
Yeah.
I've made videos
But I
explaining it.
think
If I
like you said though, I think people want their opinions to be objective truth as
They
well.
do. They so
Like,
badly, and that's
yeah,
fine. But these things are important.
yeah.
It is important. Our words and how we verbalize them are important in the world that we inhabit. They are important. So if you like the movie, totally fine. I just don't want to be argued with that it's the greatest superhero movie of all time, point blank, period, without anything coming back to me or any point of comparison, which never happened, by the way. Never in 4 videos and all the views and all the comments.
I was too
It never
busy.
happened. Well,
But that's why I got notes this time because I'm like everything you brought up I've got points for and I think I can
okay,
destroy your entire argument. I
let's
think
do it.
we'll see.
We'll see.
But what you
I
said
doubt it.
earlier, I no, no, but I just to real quick, what you just said, people have a hard time separating the like want for their opinion to be reality. I think it goes back to to that notion where if someone says so, like if someone were to say that Madam Web is a great film, and
Yeah,
we would judge them. I think
correct.
we all know that we do that, so people defend their opinions as reality to avoid that judgment.
They do. And that's okay. But I'm always
I never thought of like I said, I'm not a deep thinker guy like on a regular basis, but I do love it. I do love like the exploration of the mind.
and that's what's happening, and that's okay because I do not mind confrontation both in my personal life and my online life. It doesn't bother me at all. I lose no sleep over it. It like I said at the beginning of this, I couldn't give a fuck less. Like with all the comments, I mean, obviously a lot of them agree with me and a lot of them don't agree with me. And it's not like I'm laying in bed only worrying about the ones that don't agree with me. I couldn't give a fuck less. I'm a thinking man's man. That's how my brain works. That's how I came. But I feel pretty strongly that I was forthright and I was honest in my resolve in that I don't give a fuck if somebody likes that movie, but don't
I
tell
think
me it's a good movie.
I think a lot of your position was very much like someone I want someone to give me their position as to why they think it's the best. Like what about it is the
One
best.
thing. That's it. So if you can do that for me
So
right here, right now,
let's
you'll
go
blow
right
my fucking
so
mind.
so from the top, right? From the
Yeah,
top, um
make it drop.
you said what a reference. What a
I got you.
reference.
I got you.
Love it, love it, love it.
Yeah.
So you said there's no character development in this film, which I thought was a crazy statement. So
Okay.
I have 3 examples, and we can hit them one at a time just because I'd love to hear your thoughts on them. So right out the gate, um, Superman, Clark Kent Superman, being forced into a greater awareness and understanding of the complexities of the world at large. Right, the argument with Lois. And obviously, if you're this deep into this fucking thing and don't realize this is going to be spoilers, you are bananas. There's going to be spoilers
Spoilers
galore.
ahead. Spoilers
Uh,
ahead. Yeah.
so during the argument with Lois, well, the interview with Lois that sort of turns into an argument.
Mhm.
Um, he comes from this like very naive position of like people were in danger. I needed to help them. And she's like, yeah, but like the world is complicated, motherfucker. And he's like, no, 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 but like people were in danger. And then she like kept pressing it until the moment of breakage, right? Until the moment where he like just
People are going to die.
he couldn't deal with it. He
Mhm.
couldn't deal with the conversation anymore. And he's like, I'm gonna go. Because he didn't know how to deal with it. And I think that was him being forced into an understanding, like kind of pulling him out of naivete that he kind of came with from the Midwest. And I think that's a solid arc for him to get into. Now, would I say that is a complete arc for him in this, that he comes to a realization at that? No, but I also think he becomes more involved. He doesn't try to like solo everything because he calls this super friends. I'm gonna call him at the end. He calls the super friends because he's not trying to one man this. He's not trying to solo the shit. And he's like, all right, like maybe shit is not just like I'm gonna just snap my fingers and get shit done. Maybe I need to like consult. And this time I'm just gonna like make a quick consult. Hey, can y'all handle this thing over here while I deal with this shit here? Like I
Yeah.
think it is not, again, from a technical perspective, if we're analyzing it, do I think it is the greatest character arc of all time? Of course not. But I think there's absolutely character development there.
Okay. Real quick. There's two things, and I love the way we're going. And this is actually the part of the conversation that I was the most interested in. But first, we're going to have this in a bubble if we don't come to an agreement on what it is that we're going to pit this against. It doesn't have to be another movie, but it's important to have a scale here because so I'll digress for a second and say if I said, and I'm when I say that I mean I don't know and I want to be truthful with my words. If I said that it had no character development, then I will digress and I will recant that statement in saying that it has poor character development. If I said none, that's redundant. That's
That's fair.
obviously not true. But it has poor character development, and it has poor character development in comparison. Let's just keep it in comic books to other comic book movies that have done a better job developing their characters. So, before we move on here, what we're going to have to do is we're going to have to come to an agreement on a movie. It doesn't have to be better. I mean, it can be better. It can be worse. It can be the same to you. We can go off of you. What is another superhero movie that you
I will
think is
tell you.
upper
So
echelon?
I will say this movie, like I said, is one of the few movies I've gone to see multiple times. Every single time, it's actually been better for me.
Better, yeah. Okay.
Um, and the only other film that has had that effect for me, um, in the comic book genre is Iron Man. I think Iron Man is another near
It
perfect
doesn't have
film.
to be a better movie, but I'm
No,
happy
no,
to
no.
use Iron
I
Man
just
as
think
well.
Iron Man is a near perfect film. I've seen it enough times where I can't quite parrot the whole thing, but like I know a lot of the film, and I know I've like thought about it a
Okay.
lot because it's one of
Let's
my
use
favorites.
let's use Iron Man. And then if we can, and if you can't, it's totally fine. If we're gonna relate these in some sort of numerical value, one being the worst movie you've ever seen, 10 being the perfect film, what is Iron Man?
Iron Man. I would put Iron Man at a like a solid 8.
8 even. Okay, and then just for a point of reference, what is Superman?
Superman
Stay
is 9.
based before as a what?
9.
9. Okay, so Superman's better than Iron Man. We're talking now, let's get back to the point. So uh you are right. The movie has a level of character development. My argument would be that it's poor character development, especially as it relates to other movies. We could go into budget, we could go into director,
Of
we could
course.
go into hype, whatever it is that you want to go into. I personally feel that's irrelevant, but I'm happy to go down that rabbit hole if you'd like. I feel like compared to other movies, it's poor. That's my perspective. So I will take an L and say if I said that it had none, I was wrong. I just think it has poor character development. So the scene that you're speaking of, does that develop the character in some way? I do believe that you're right. I do think it does. I also agree with you though when you said that is it the greatest? No, it's
No.
not. It's in my opinion, it's poor comparatively, but there is some development. It's not just with Uh, there's no development with him as Clark. I will go on record to say that, and I mean
Yeah, no, that
zero.
we never, because we never really got a follow up with Clark. We had like
They're the
Clark
same
represent,
character.
and I would disagree with
That's the
that. That's
problem.
further down in the notes.
Okay,
We'll get to that. But I think
got it.
we got a little bit of Clark at the beginning, and I think there was some interesting character development, like character building there for Clark. But then literally
Okay,
the next scene and everything after was him glasses off, because in her apartment and essentially everything after, he was either like like Clark without the need to put on a persona, so he's
yep.
just like actual Clark, if you will. Um, and then Superman, obviously. So like we never got back to like public persona Clark. So like
Who is Superman?
uh Superman would be actual Clark, like who like has all his beliefs,
Is
but also is like aware and like acknowledges his power and
so
like his
is Superman is the character is his alter ego Clark Kent or is his alter ego Superman?
it's complicated, I think. I would say
In the norm, not in this movie, in the norm.
sure.
What's the norm?
In the norm, I would argue that Clark Kent is the character because Clark Kent is who he's always been and he becomes Superman. Um and I think but I think you sort of get the same treatment. Granted, again, you have more Clark. All overall, you have more Clark. So when you have like what I would call actual Clark, where he's Clark, but he's aware of his identity. He's, like the Clark that works at the Daily Bugle publicly doesn't know he's Superman. You know what I'm saying? Like, because because from everyone else's perspective, he's not. So he has to play that role.
So if
Because Clark at the Bugle and in public is not the same Clark that he is. He is putting on a persona for the public.
so he's putting on a persona when he is Clark, or he's putting on a persona when he's Superman.
Both.
I just want to be clear.
I think it's both, but I think for
So so who is Superman then? If he's
Superman,
nobody,
I mean, Superman is Clark's superhero persona. But like, so look at it this way: it's like you referenced All Star Superman.
yeah.
Um, Visually, I think that's one of the best examples because it's rarely done anymore in mainstream comics, especially since we had like a whole period of time where like everyone knew who Clark was. Um,
Mhm.
but like in that one, there visually, it's quietly does a great job portraying like what he hunches down and he's like
He's meek.
actively, yeah, he's actively like reducing himself to
Mhm.
be this guy. And that's not real Clark. You know what I mean? Like Clark on the farm, if you will. Let's call him Clark on the farm. Clark on the farm knows he's got fucking super strength, but he's also
Mhm.
kind. He likes his neighbors. He likes his family. But he's not doing this when he's at dinner.
So
You know what I
both
mean?
both are a facade, you think?
I think both are a facade. And I think in this movie we sort of get that the most compared to everything else. Because like we Snyderverse,
But
did we
if
get a lot of Clark in Snyderverse? Not really.
But if they're both so if they're both a facade, but then earlier you said that he never had to play one of the roles because he was outside of the cowl, outside of the cape rather. So when he's around Lois Lane and the version that he's in Superman, neither one of those would be playing a facade. And that's what I'm saying. The water was muddied. He that's the thing about it is if you take you could take any of them, Alex Roth, Kingdom Come, Frank Quietly, whatever iteration you want to pull from.
But Kingdom Come's a great example because that Clark is that's Clark on the farm, right? He's when he's not in the super suit, he's still lifting up massive bales of hay and shit, right? He's still Clark with powers. There is no public persona Clark Kent. And then
But
later on when he like comes back,
The
he
Clark that's with Lois though in the movie
mhm.
is the same Clark that's with the at the Daily Bugle. They're not different.
He's a
He actually
planet. You
Yeah,
said
Daily
mute.
Planet. Sorry, he comes. It's okay, sorry. He comes in with the same demeanor. He's actually got a little bit of a swag to him. He's the same
He
guy.
does, but I also think he's actively like being a little clumsy. He's like kind of like hurrying. He's late. You know, like all these things. Like he's super speed. Like he
But like even when he's late, that's a good scene. Like even when he's late, it's not like he's putting on a persona. Like when he comes in and he's late, it's a very stoic, shoulders back, sorry for being late, won't happen
ah
again type of thing.
see
He's not meek. He's not meek about it at all.
he's
He's not
certainly
he's not like, oh, I'm
no,
so sorry. I
he's
never.
certainly not like the kind of classic silver golden age Meek uh
Yeah.
all-star kind of thing. Like he's not that, but I also think we've sort
Was he
of
different as Superman? Like his
yeah,
Superman character is
I would say
similar in
so.
the movie.
I think it's more similar than we're used to. I think it's a lot
Okay.
more. I think
So
certainly a
let's
lot
say
more
they're more
similar.
similar.
Yeah, I think it's certainly a lot more similar than we're used to. But I think
Yeah.
that also sort of goes to the sort of modern representation because if you look at, I would argue anything post Millennium Giants because that's the one that I know that reset the Lightning Superman. Anything post Electric Superman,
Which is
uh,
what year? What year is this?
that would have been 2000 Millennium Giants.
So we're bringing in. I mean, that would be New 52 Superman then.
Uh, yeah, but like he wasn't Meek. He wasn't, you know what I'm saying? Like Clark
They're very
was
parallel characters, though. They're very parallel characters. Meek might be a strong word. He certainly isn't. He certainly isn't. I actually don't want to say that word because that might be. I
he
wouldn't say
plays
he's
it
a
down.
pussy.
He
Yeah,
plays
he's
it
not a
down.
pussy, but he's certainly a downgraded version of himself. He certainly is putting on a persona so you don't
Yeah.
believe he's
Okay.
the person that he is.
Excluding weird sand Superman from the New 52 because that's what he was. uh excluding him, uh man, the New 52 was crazy.
Some of it, honestly, I loved. Not Super. I mean, Superman was okay, but I thought the Animal Man New 52 was some of the. I think
Same,
I
dude. That corner of the DC universe during New 52, peak.
incredible,
Peak. You could
incredible,
not have you could 2 years earlier,
incredible.
you could not have sold me on the idea that Aquaman would be one of my favorite books.
Dude,
Like ever.
they did a great job with the Green Lantern. They did a great job with Animal Man, like I said.
Swamp
They did
Thing.
great thing. Swamp Thing was fucking in. That was phenomenal. It
Like
was so well done.
and bringing Animal Man, Swamp Thing, and then bringing in Frankenstein as like the part of the gray. Like, oh my
Yes,
god, like that whole corner
so
was
fun.
so magnificent. And then
It
making
was.
Aquaman part of that.
Yeah, it was awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah, it
Yeah.
was, it was chef's kiss part
Batman was
time.
kind of fine. Like it was sort of like it just they kind of just continued it. Superman was like obviously the most experimental because they changed basically
Yeah,
everything.
yeah.
But
But they
like,
got Jim Lee back, so that was cool.
yeah.
I liked it, and I liked.
Jim Lee, I think is I've gone on record for this, so this isn't like breaking news or anything. But Jim Lee, I think, is a good artist. I think Jim Lee is a good artist historically. I think he has a solid baseline, and I think he every once in a while does like an iconic piece. But I don't
He did a
think.
lot more iconic work back in the day, especially the X-Men stuff, and
Yeah. I mean, I think some of the X-Men covers are unparalleled,
yeah,
unparalleled. But like again, you have these iconic pieces, iconic moments. You know, the X-Men at the beach pinup or at the pool, like that
yeah.
has kind of been everywhere by now. Like there are these moments, but I don't think he's for me not one of my favorites for any particular character. And I think that I like started a whole series about that some time back. And he I disqualified him because he just doesn't hit any one character like the best every time. Like
His
he's had
his
moments. I think he's
Hush his
certainly had
Hush was
moments.
pretty good, man.
I mean,
Hush
Hush
was
was
pretty
good, but
good.
like I think his Superman is like if you were to say like what I was gonna say like iconic Superman, but the Batman piece is more iconic than the Superman piece, right? Like the that like Batman on the eagle or on the
What
gargoyle
what
and then
was the
Superman on the eagle.
What was the? It was never insequential, but it was a graphic novel. It has a very iconic cover of Superman. It looks like he's stopping bullets, but he's not stopping. He's just waiting for them, and he's posted up. It's a red cover. It's a Jim Lee cover. That book is also fantastic. The name eludes me because it's so old, but that was another good one he did. And then also, I just wanted to comment. I actually thought Batman was really solid in the first arc. I thought the Court of Owls was exceptionally
Yeah,
good,
yeah.
and then it got a little it gets a little off kilter.
I
My
also
stuff is
think
blurred, but if you could right there, these are all that it's blurred. But this is New 52 Batman
nice.
run 1 through 5, signed by Capullo and Snyder.
Oh wow, that's sick.
Yeah,
That's sick.
pretty
I
cool.
actually just added Death of the Family to
Oh
that.
yeah, I mean that's a
So I've got
classic.
like the
Yeah,
first four books. Death of the
yeah,
Family, the New
yeah, yeah,
52 bit.
yeah, yeah.
So I've got that like first four batch of the Batman.
Hmm.
Um I my favorite Batman from the New 52 was Batman Eternal. I think
Hmm.
those 52 issues, some of the best Batman writing I've ever read.
They were great.
The like
Yeah,
week to week, like just being pounded by the, and then it was like every week it was like you're the one behind it, and he's like, nah, I got the invite. Sorry, bro. Like it's
yeah,
not
yeah,
me.
yeah,
And I was like, oh, the frustration is built. So as I'm reading it, I'm like, son of a bitch, who is it? Like,
yeah, yeah. Absolutely.
but
Absolutely.
but
Yeah,
yeah,
good time
so
for comics. Flashpoint Paradox, all that stuff was good. Anyways, we're digressing.
yeah, we're
Let's go back.
that's a different podcast, tangents.
Yeah, 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 yeah.
But yeah,
I'm glad
so
we agree though.
no, so like I think like you know pre New 52 and post New 52, that Clark Kent super like that Clark Kent is less portrayed less meek. I think he's like kind of portrayed like as a regular guy, with like I would argue like a little bit of swagger. Like he's like a good looking dude. You know, he's like like built on the farm, like broad shouldered big dude, and he's attractive. Like I think they've like discussed in issues where like women find Clark attractive. So it's like it's not this, meek, like it's not like this, 60s, 70s, 80s kind of thing where he's like really putting on a show. And I think that's kind of where the personification of Clark, like the public Clark, comes from in this.
That's fine. Let's move past it to say that I'm fine with it. I'm fine with it doesn't move the needle for the movie necessarily. If it does, it's negligible. So let's
Yeah,
agree that it's fine that he was maybe not necessarily fully developed in either one character, and he was a little bit muddy between the two, and that's fine. It's okay.
I would certainly want more. I would certainly want more. I'd love like a mini series of the Daily Planet, like no Superman
Yeah.
action, just the Daily. Maybe Clark disappears, like every once in
Right.
a while. Like that'd be cool.
Right.
So another arc that I thought was a little stronger, was Jimmy. Jimmy learning to value the character of a person more than physical traits. Because like he even in the phone he had her in just mutant toes, which the first time I noticed that was the second watching, and I was like, wow, this dude's a jackass. Like,
He's a dog.
yeah, he's a dog for sure. And just like and then when she sent him the photo, he was like, ah, crap. And then Lois calls out like, hey, she's actually a fucking genius. And then like he realized that like, oh, this like there's more to this person. Like I just didn't give this person enough of a chance. And I think just it's a simple arc. I'll give it that for sure. But like like people are more than their physical traits, like coming to that realization and understanding. And I would say at the end he kind of debatably like resigns to giving it another shot, because like he gets the hug, she jumps on him, and then like he kind of gets a smile on his face. And I don't know if this was intentional, but it sort of equally looks of like a, fine, I'll give it a shot, and also kind of like sort of excited, like kind of like right in between there. And I don't know if the actor did that on purpose or if that was direction, but like it definitely felt like it could have gone either way. So I think
Okay, so
that's a
let's
decent arc.
okay, so let's take if we're going to deal with sub characters and we're comparing to Iron Man to some degree, we could even take somebody minuscule. So I don't know the name of him off the top of my head, but the scientist that Tony Stark is stuck in
Yinsen.
uh, captivity with, you get the stuff with Jimmy is very superficial. It's like everything you just said. It's on the superficial level, and you get a backstory with that gentleman who has what I don't know, maybe
If we say 10 minutes, it's probably generous.
Think it's generous. I was going to say 7. So 10 minutes, let's, yeah, being generous of screen time. And that when that character dies, you really are left feeling for the character. And
Yes.
you're left feeling for Tony for the character. We can break these things down into their little subsets, like what happens to Jimmy and why, and what happens to the scientist and why. But at the end of the day, the thing that's the most important is that you have a connection with the character, and this is what development is for. And so we're taking these two movies, and then we're taking a character that has a lot more screen time against somebody that has very little screen time. And when that character dies, it's unarguable that you feel it as an audience member when you watch him die, and you can feel that Tony feels it. In fact, he feels it so much you could there's a level, I mean, because like one of the fucking first thing he does is come back to that area and just fucking do his thing, you know.
Yeah.
And so it's almost as if he's coming back there for some sort of state of redemption because he cares about this character, and it's worth it for a multitude of reasons. It's hard for me to not give the nod for a sub character in Iron Man than it would be for Superman. So it's like we can, and then the truth is, and this is why I say that it's so shallow, is because what character in Superman has the development of that 7 minute to 10 minute scientist in Iron Man 1? What sub character has that level of development? Mr. Terrific doesn't, certainly. Guy Gardner doesn't, certainly.
No.
Hawk Girl doesn't, certainly. And these are characters that fit the main scheme of the movie. And so like it could be argued, although I don't think it could be argued well, that Lois Lane and Jimmy have a decent level of development, but not as much as he did in that movie. And that was just him. Tony, we go on a journey, an emotional journey in the
Yeah,
as the
for
audience
sure.
with Tony as he develops as a character. We literally go through a journey with him
Yeah.
to get to the point where you start the movie to the point you end the movie, and it's the development in that character is fucking in that movie. So if we're this is why it's so important, because we only give Iron Man an 8 and we give Superman a 9, and this is only obviously one of the pillars. But if we're talking about development, I am personally, and I'm open to hearing your side of it, but I'm having a hard time agreeing that the character development in Superman is better than the character development in Iron Man. And you can bring in Pepper
Oh,
Potts, you can bring it's
I
better in
certainly,
Iron Man.
I mean, again, and if we're going to comparison, I certainly don't think it is better. What I
Okay.
would say is these two movies are presented, since we are using these two movies are presented in a pretty drastically different way.
But that doesn't
Look at it
change
this way.
character development.
Would you say that Tony, maybe not Tony, but let's say Pepper in Iron Man 3 goes through any kind of significant arc?
Well, that's hard because then we're comparing 1 to a 3, and that's hard because if you have a third, I mean, like you could do the
The
same thing
reason
with
I bring that up is because this movie explicitly takes place in an already established universe, right? So these people already have lives and things have already been happening, right? There is presumably a canon novel that is the first year of Superman. Um, so obviously some of the like buildup of those characters gets done there. Um,
we don't get that justification though. That's irrelevant.
No, no,
We
yeah,
don't get that
of
as
course, yeah, no, no.
yeah,
We can only judge it by what's on the film, but like,
and that's all we can
ju-
judge it by.
yeah, and walking like it's like walking in on the second or third act of a film or a play, like
Correct.
shit has already happened. You just got to work with what you're seeing. So, and I think this is one of those.
That's
I,
bad writing.
well, I don't know. I wouldn't necessarily. I would say
It
this
is.
falls into the failings of the medium.
No, I
We
disagree.
don't get 6 issues to follow 3 different story arcs. You know what I mean? Like we don't get 6 months worth of story to follow 3 different story arcs to get everyone's character development.
But that's
This
a decision. That's bad writing.
sure that's a decision, but
Yeah.
then we get, if we don't do this, right? If we don't include these characters and have these other characters and make it just about the one character and put him on a full character arc. um I wouldn't say it would look the same or be the same or feel the same, but then we get a Man of Steel, right? And a Man of Steel abandons a lot of what is Superman and what is good is about Superman, what is enjoyable by most people about Superman, in favor of a shit ton of fucking slow mo and like all like these like realism is nonsense things of like this is a fucking alien from outer space, but like we want to play realism with it. Okay, sure, but like
Have you seen
I would
have
say
you
that.
seen Fantastic
Go ahead.
have you seen Fantastic Four yet?
No, going Sunday.
I'm not gonna there's no spoilers here, but Fantastic Four is laid out the same way. It's not a spoiler. There's nobody's gonna get anything from this, but it's set out in the fact that the movie starts where it starts.
Yeah, yeah, they've already been established. Yeah, sure.
And the
You're not.
character development
Yeah,
in that movie, because this is what this is what I don't like. I don't like when we make excuses. I don't like this. I don't like that you have to say X, Y, and Z is the reason that this happened this way. They don't have to do it. Like there can be these things still when you, regardless if you're going to say they come into the third act, fourth, it doesn't matter. It could come in at the 11th hour. It's that's Gunn's job, and that was one of the things I was most frustrated with, is because most creatives don't get the freedom that this gentleman in particular had, especially over an IP worth so much money. And I said it multiple times. I think maybe even you kind of countered back on me in this, that it has a $400 million budget, but you have control. You have, I don't want to say complete control because I understand the industry, but he has more control over it than most directors have
sure,
over these IPs. It's a choice, and if it's a choice, and the choice is not the better of the two variables, it's bad writing. That's not, we don't get to, like, or I won't. You can do whatever the fuck you want, but I will never be like make an excuse for it. If you have to make an excuse, it's a doc. If you have to make an excuse for a movie, you also have to dock it. So if it's a 10 out of 10, let's say we go into the movie, it doesn't even start yet, we give it a 10 out of 10, and we only dock it for the things that doesn't live up to expectations, it's immediately a 9 or an 8.8 or however you want to quantify it in your own head when these things have to be justified. This isn't a
okay,
good thing. It could be like you, because the thing is there a world where these two things happen simultaneously and done properly? When you go on Sunday to see Fantastic Four, you will see that this absolutely can be done properly. Character development can still happen easily. And if they don't do it, that is what bad writing is. So he wrote like that. That's not a good thing. It's not a plus. Like you having to justify it doesn't raise the movie, it lowers the movie. So can we suspend it and just be okay with it and like it personally? That's totally fine. But if we're dealing with it critically, that's a knock. That is not good writing. He should have went about it differently. He had the opportunity to go about it differently since he was the helm of the writing and the directing,
sure.
and he chose not to. That's bad writing.
Let me ask you a question. So, since my cousin compared this film to the animated series, which is one of the kind of the main things he compared it to, did you watch the? I presume you watched the Superman animated series from the 90s.
Yeah, oh yeah.
Pick any season. I mean, hell, even the first season, right? They didn't start at the beginning. He was already Superman. Uh,
It's fine.
you pick any two, let's say two of those episodes, because it's let's say an hour. Give it like a feature, like three, I guess. Would you say that any of these B or C characters had the kind of development that you're looking for in this film that you didn't receive?
It's not what I'm looking for. It's what is good. It's not what I'm it's not that I am going in there with like an expectation that has to happen. It's the collective unconscious of what needs to happen to create a good film. So it doesn't matter really. It doesn't. We you could compare it to Madam Web if you want to. It doesn't matter. We could compare it to bad things, and we could have whatever expectations we want. What I'm my only argument is that it's not good. That's my argument. My argument is
Okay,
period,
and I
point blank, it's
suppose
not good.
I haven't. I for sure haven't, but I don't know if anyone else has asked this in a different way. Did you like this movie?
Did I give my rating on any of the videos? I don't recall if I
You
did.
said 5.2.
Yes, that's my rating. If I think I said, I think I juggled it.
But
I think I said a
but
5.2 or
but did you
5.3.
enjoy the film? Did you did you smile at any point
No,
during the movie?
I get what you're saying. I want to be truthful when I speak, so I just got to think for a second.
Sure.
No.
Interesting. So I mean that because I was just thinking like, hey, like we're critically analyzing it, and I'm coming from a perspective of like I really enjoyed the film. I've watched it multiple times. I've liked it more every time. The
Mhm.
fucking garage door bit has gotten literally funnier every single time, even though I know it's coming.
It was a funny scene. Yeah,
Uh, like it, and it's like that's the dumbest fucking joke, but just for whatever the fuck reason it hits. And it's
it works
like,
with him specifically. Yeah, it was good.
and it's like we're I'm agreeing with you. Like I certainly I'm agreeing with you that the character development in this film is not great. You know, barely passable if we're giving it a grade. C minus maybe. You're getting out of the class, but no one's happy about it.
Correct.
But like I'm finding that it's not taking away from my enjoyment of the film, right? Like it's
That's
not.
fine.
No, 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 and I know
That's
that's not
great.
your goal. I'm sorry, I'm certainly aware that that's not your goal. That's why I asked the question the other way because I was wondering. Um, I guess I was just wondering for my own curiosity, like, is it more so, uh, you know, if you, because like my rating for it is not from a technical perspective. Like I'm not analyzing the film. My
I'm
rating
aware.
for it is very much from like an enjoyment and just I mean, really enjoyment level, right? I think, like for me, I think great Superman casting. My wife, and I would like to just like this little slight little tangent, but it is very relevant to the movie. We walked out and she was like, "What'd you think about the casting?" I was like, "I think it's pretty fucking solid." Like, you know, I think he's perfect. And she's like, "What about Lois?" I was like, "She's good. Why?" It's like how old is Superman supposed to be? I was like, I think he's like 32 or whatever, 33. And I'm like, she's like, is Lois supposed to be about the same age? I'm like, probably like relatively within a couple years. She's like, not with all that Botox and lip filler. And I was like, this is you. I didn't.
Yeah.
Not one man thought about that the whole movie.
Yeah.
Like
No, definitely
every
not.
viewing of every film across the planet, not one man thought about that.
For
You out
sure.
here, your first words out of your face are like, "This bitch old." What are you
Yeah.
talking about?
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
was so
Yeah.
mad about that. I was like, men are not the problem with like women's self-image here. Women are
Yeah.
the fucking
Definitely not.
judgy ones. I'm like,
Yeah.
I thought she looked great. And it's like I went to see it with my friend first, and she's when they did the slow mo, it is a kind of a goofy slow mo moment, but like when they win and they do the pan of the T sphere.
Yeah.
Or the T craft or whatever, and they do the
Yeah.
slow mo, and she like nudges me. She's like, that's just for the titty bounce, right? And I was like, I like hadn't noticed. I genuinely hadn't noticed. And I was like, yeah, I mean, I guess there's really no other reason why you would do this slow mo here. Sure.
Right.
But I was just like, I didn't notice that. I was just like, they won. They're happy. Like, I'm excited. The world is saved. Like, it's just like, I'm in the moment. You're like, this is wild that the women are the ones calling this stuff out.
Yeah. 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 For sure.
So I just thought it was like a funny thing. But like, I
I
think,
thought she was a good Lois Lane, and she's a saucy biscuit. I liked her.
I think it's a very interesting way to describe someone. Saucy
Yeah.
biscuit. All right, fair enough. But like, I think so. That was my other kind of like character note of characterization, like her opening up and allowing herself to love. Like when he said "I love you," she like, I mean, obviously early on she says like, "I'm not good with late relationships." When he professes his love, she sort of, I think that kind of like triggers her into like realize like, oh, this is like more than maybe I gave it credit for, more than I even like thought this would be. And that's
Yeah.
why she like kind of, I think her thing is that she feels guilty that he told her he loves her and she didn't say shit about it. He just sort of left. and then she like had no retort, and he leaves, disappears, and now I think it was more of like a guilt trip for her own self. It was like I didn't say anything, this dude's gone now, like I gotta go find him.
Yeah,
So like I think hers is probably, of the three of them, of sort of the main cast, if you will, um hers I think is the strongest character arc, because
it
like
is.
she
It is
definitely
the
allows
strongest.
her, and like coming out of the T craft at the end, she's like clearly like looking for him, she's concerned about him, like she wants to make sure he's okay,
Yeah,
and I think it
she had the
definitely,
strongest character in the movie,
yeah,
definitely.
and so I think, uh, you know, you're 100% right. It could definitely be done better, like as far as character development. There's been other movies. I mean, I would even argue the character arcs in the previous, ironically, prior to Fantastic, because holy shit, that movie's bad. Prior to Fantastic, all three Fantastic Four movies were decent movies. Had much better character arcs than most of the characters in this film, um, because I think they were able to focus on them more. I think because of the fact that they gave a lot of screen time to like A, B, and C villains kind of thing. Like there was just like a lot, and again, like you said, this is a choice. Like you can choose to not have as much shit happening. Um,
Hmm.
like I would say it would have potentially been, I don't know about better, but like narratively, I think it could have been a little more interesting if the Justice Gang reveal was late in the game.
Hmm.
Like
Definitely.
if that was just the last scene where they show up to mop up and like help him out, was
Hmm.
that was the moment, and like maybe just Mr. Terrific throughout the film.
I
Um
agree.
like coming in, like you don't see them until she goes to them for help.
Yeah, when he's like, it's going to be under control. I got friends on the way. If they would have showed
Yeah.
up at that scene, yeah, I agree. I think, I think I think in this part, in the particulars of this, I think we kind of both got a great point across in that we're both kind of sitting on each side of the fence here, I think, and there's literally nothing wrong with that at all, like nothing. And I also want to go on record to say it actually, and I do think that people that were negative in the comments, they just think that this is how I am, but it's not true what they perceive. It actually brings me joy when people go see things and like it, regardless of what I think about it, critically, personally. It's expensive to go to the movies. Also, I'm sure as a fan, you were looking forward to this movie for an extended period of time. I know I was. I mean, the second it was announced, I couldn't have been more excited about it. I was excited for the director. I was excited for the casting. I actually, even disliking the movie, I thought that he was a great cast for Superman. She's a great cast for Lois Lane. I think pretty much across the board, they were pretty solid casts. And so that got me very excited. There's no piece of me that finds joy in a movie not being good or living up to its expectations. So when people go and watch these films, if they, like you said, you've seen it multiple times at this juncture and you like it more every time, that brings me joy. It does not bring me malice, dislike. It brings me joy. It genuinely does. My only qualm with this whole thing as it started as to where we're at here is I just don't want to be argued with, or I do want to be argued with rather. I just want some sense of validity to come with the argument that the movie is a good movie or a great movie, like if we're being precise here, that it's a great movie and or it's the greatest comic book movie of all time. I need substance with these type of statements. If it wasn't that, I would have not even made one video. All I do is post comic book illustrations on my page. I don't sit there and actually do this. Or if I do, it's very rarely, 1 out of 50 videos minimum. So I wouldn't even have gotten into it because if everything, like, this is actually a great example. Another movie that, see, this is convoluted here. I wouldn't actually say that it's a bad movie, but a movie I personally did not like at all, that like every person I know loved, was Sinners. Like everyone loved that movie. It got high ratings. It was highly regarded. Every person that I talked to, with the exception of one, which was my wife, loved that movie. I personally didn't like that movie. I never made a post about it. I never commented about it. I don't give a fuck that everyone loved that movie. I literally thought it was like, if we weren't there with a group of people, I would have left the theater. I thought it was so unbearable. But everyone loved the movie. I don't give a fuck. I'm not out here trying to like ruin people's days or tell them that what they like is wrong. You can like whatever you want. In the Post, Armageddon, Mortal Kombat, Street Fighter One, the original movie. Those movies are dog shit movies. I literally love them. I probably watch Armageddon 3 times a year minimum, and I've done that since it came out. I
Armageddon's a
would
classic. Classic.
it's a dude, it's a great, I mean, it's not a great movie, but to me, it's a great movie. I love that
Yeah.
movie. I love everything about it. But if
That's like
somebody
me.
came to me and said it's bad, I'd be
I
like,
would love your thoughts on a little movie called Foolish. It is a loose adaptation of the life of Eddie Griffin, who stars in it. It is a loose adaptation of his life, and like getting into comedy.
cool.
I love the movie. I don't think it's a good movie at all.
Yeah,
I think kind of how it does certain things is very interesting. I really enjoy it, and I think it's well done in certain aspects. But like Master P plays his brother, and he's just Master P, and it's
yeah.
fucking incredible. But like my wife
I'll have to give it a
hates
watch.
that fucking movie. She like
Yeah,
I
yeah.
made her watch it because we do like we alternate who picks the movie. So I made her watch it. She's like, holy shit, I want to take away your next pick for that. Like you forced me to
Yeah,
like she was like
yeah,
so mad about it. Like
yeah, yeah, yeah.
I'd love to hear your thoughts on it. Like cuz there
I'll
are
give it a
those
watch.
movies.
I
There
will.
are those movies that like they're not good, but you just fucking love them. You just love them.
There's nothing wrong with that, dude.
Mortal Kombat is all time. Uh it's not a great film. Uh
It's pretty bad.
it's made even worse by the fact that like they recast just about everybody for the sequel.
Yeah. Yeah,
Uh
it's not good, but I love it. The one with Jet Li, I mean, it's an okay movie if you're judging it critically, but like it's not very good. But I love that movie, man. There's a lot I could go on and talk about movies that I love. And that like this is a great example. And this is I think
Wait,
this
the
is
one like Jet Li, the one?
yeah,
I fucking love that movie.
I do too, dude. I fucking love that movie.
Holy
I do.
shit! No one ever brings that movie up. That's why I didn't register at first.
Dude, I love that fucking movie. I've probably, honest to God, seen that movie 50 plus times. I love that movie. I'm
Oh
a
my
huge
god!
fan of it. But it's not, I mean, I wouldn't say it's a terrible movie critically, but it's not very good. But like this is, we can, come to an end here on this, but I would say that this is how I think about things, and this is how I think about cinema and art and everything. And this happens in my circle all the time because basically my circle is full of nerds for the most part, and this is what we talk about as nerds. And when it comes up, and it comes up a lot, when people say, "What's your top three in film?" They'll say, "What's my top three?" And my response is always the same every time. And I'll say, "What are my three favorite movies, or what do I think the three best movies are?" Think they're not even the same list. So that's exactly what I'm saying is like I have a top three for me that I would never argue that are the best movies of all time. But also, I have a list of movies that I do actually think are the best movies of all time. I don't watch them on repeat. I maybe some of them I've only seen one time, but I'm aware that the movies that I like the most are not the greatest movies of all time. That's just how I am. That's how my brain works. That's how it was working towards this entire debate. So when I hear things like that, I don't want to say it triggers me because I'm a grown ass adult male and I don't give a flying fuck really. But like in the presence of social media, it'll like it like perks me up when I hear somebody say this is the greatest comic book movie of all time. And in my head, immediately a Rolodex of movies going, and I'm like, so you're fucking telling me that this movie is better than all of these movies, like objectively, that it's
I
better?
think I think from his perspective because he did say this in the video that I posted, uh, and I do want to defend that because I think I agree with him. Um, this is the closest we've gotten to a faithful like comic slash animation to screen adaptation. I'm not gonna say it's 1-to-1, but it's damn fucking close to 1-to-1. And I think that really is what hits a lot of the corners. A lot of the little elements of why we were enjoying it, why like myself and I know my cousin, um, it just if you had said this was like if you animated this and said this is a lost season of Superman the animated series, I would not question a single fucking element of it. Because it
Well,
just because to me it would even fit in the DCAU, right? Because like the Guy Gardner, the Green Lantern Corps, like it's all established. It's all things that happened in the DCAU. So it's like if you were to just say like this is a you he could have James Gunn could have literally said, "Oh yeah, like I plucked like a few episodes that were going to be that were like lost Justice League episodes or lost Superman episodes and like built those into a movie." It would have probably made more money. Like
so and I honest to God, I don't want to go down this rabbit hole necessarily, but to play devil's advocate, if the reason that you agree with him is because it's one of the better comic book adaptations into cinematography because of X, Y, and Z, and we're going to put any point of comparison on this,
Mhm.
how can you say that Watchmen is not a better comic book adaptation into film? Because it's perfect. It's perfect. He literally did it by the
I
book.
disagree because he changed the plot of the story and literally he lost the plot. He lost the plot as the internet kids say. He lost the plot. He
A
turned it
little bit, a
not a
little
little
bit.
bit. The whole premise, the whole which like it's funny because it's like a thing that I sort of agree with, like going all the way back to Independence Day, which I wonder now was it based or at least inspired by Watchmen. But like the
Mhm.
notion of like a common enemy will unite us all, like I sort of love that idea. And like on like the worst days when I'm looking at the news and everything looks like shit, I'm like, I wish the fucking aliens would come. Then we can
Yeah,
get
yeah.
over this dumb shit and focus on real important shit. And like, so like the notion, the original plot of like we're gonna create these like very real alien invasions and we're gonna create like something for all of humanity to rally against that has zero ties to any Earth government and any Earth nation. That was like the whole misdirect. That was the whole Ozymandias
It's
plot. So to change that and make it nukes, which just basically points it at America during the Manhattan Project, like insane.
I meant
Like what a change of a plot.
no, I hear, and I don't even disagree with what you're saying. What I meant though is Superman 2025 doesn't have a graphic novel that it's being based off of.
Yeah,
So you can't say that it's one for one like you say because nothing exists, and Watchmen does exist, so we can take one for
I
one.
would
I
I
just
would
mean
argue 300 is a better.
fair and fine.
Yeah,
I'm just saying film that exists on film. What is a better adaptation of a comic? Not a literal. That's confusing, and I shouldn't have said it that way. Not a literal book because Superman's also not based on a literal book.
right,
I
right.
just mean what we're watching as cinema.
Yeah,
What is more true to the feel of comic than Watchmen? That whole movie is a. I mean, the framing, the cuts, like everything in that movie is like it just feels so. It just feels like a comic book. The movie feels so comic booky. This
I mean,
is
it specifically feels like that comic book series, though.
yeah. No, no,
It is explicitly
you're
based on a specific run, right?
100%. I agree with you. You are right in that regard.
It
I just
because
I just wouldn't argue that Superman is a better like because Superman doesn't have a book that it's going off of. So if what we're doing in our head is taking comics and putting it on the screen, also 300 to be honest, a pretty fucking good name drop. I don't think it's as strong of a film, but if we're talking about comic book adaptations and like remove 300 the graphic novel from the equation, that movie's a fucking comic book movie. Like it feels like it like has that, like everything about it is like
oh yeah,
tangibly a comic book.
yeah.
So
It's the only reason
yeah.
that I don't think Frank Miller should be put to death.
Yeah, dude.
That's a little
No,
extreme.
I
It's a
get it.
little extreme, but like
I get it. No, no, I get it.
Frank Miller lost the plot a long fucking time ago.
Yeah, he did. But we'll agree to disagree on that. And that is subjective, and that's totally fine.
But and I think well to just kind of to I think Superman brings the essence of every character forward. I think Superman, I think we've never had quite the combination. I will like we've had I think better Lois. I think we've had a better Lois in Terry Hatcher.
Yeah,
I think she was a much better Lois. I think Dean Cain could die in fucking fire. Uh, but
correct.
I think Terry Hatcher was a really good Lois.
She was.
Uh, uh, the
Eh,
original, I don't remember her name. The Lois from '78. Um,
uh,
I think she was good, but every time I've rewatched, every time I've seen footage from the film, I can't help but to think that in much of the footage, she's like fawning over Superman. It's like a little
yeah.
too golden age. It's a little too golden age for me.
It is. I agree.
Uh,
Lois Lane's kind of a dog. She's kind of hard, and I
she's
like, yeah,
scrappy. Like
yeah,
some
yeah,
of my favorite Superman arcs are where like the B story is Lois doing a completely unrelated thing, just like having her own thing, like
yeah, yeah.
diving deep into like like a strange DC country to try to find some shit out. Like
Snyder
that's
Snyder did a good job writing it. The actress is what fucked it because
uh
she
she
had a decent,
her character arc was absolutely solid. I think he
yeah.
fucked up Clark. I think
He did, but it wasn't even. I wouldn't even like the
it's hard to
way
even say that there
Lois.
was a Clark.
Yeah, no, but well, we could go down this fucking rabbit hole, and I could dismantle this as well, and I agree with you. I was just gonna say, I actually think the way Lois was written was strong. I just think Amy Adams as a cast was like just like a way miss.
Yeah, I
Like they
didn't.
just missed. They just like threw over the moon on that one. And I think if they would have had, like, for example, if you were to have the lady that played Lois Lane in the 2025 variant in the Snyder variant of it. I think that would have probably been the best Lois Lane we've ever had because she was written well. She was tough. She was scrappy. She had that thing about her to where
Yeah,
she had substance to her. So it
yeah,
was
yeah,
good.
yeah, yeah. But no,
She
I
was well
think
written.
uh yeah, I think like the essence of these characters was probably the best that we've had all at the same time. Like this, I would say, is near perfect Superman. Um, especially portraying him caring about other people. Like I think that's where Snyder failed miserably. Like portraying him caring about other people in other life and just trying his damnedest to protect as many lives as he physically could. And I think we got that zero times in the Snyderverse. And I think that was what a big downfall of that characterization was. But like I think Superman is like really great. Um, Perry White's kind of a set piece in this movie, so I can't even say he's like a good representation. Like,
He was a little dry. Yeah.
yeah. The other dude, which I tried to, it took me fucking forever. I had to watch an explainer video. The other dude that they bring up in the T Craft is the guy that I guess took over for Clark when Superman died, when Clark was missing.
Mm,
And I didn't realize that because I don't remember that dude. I don't remember that character. It was
yeah, yeah,
fucking
yeah,
how many years ago did I read that? So
yeah.
I was like, oh, that's who that's supposed to be. Fair enough.
That that's kind of cool. That's
Yeah,
kind
but
of
it's like
cool.
a nice little nod. And I was like, I was like, because the third time I watched it, I was like, who the hell's this third guy? I was this like sixth guy or whatever. I'm like, is he just grabbing another person who is not white? Because I'm like, because it's otherwise it's gonna look weird that like only the white
Yeah,
people are getting to run away.
yeah,
Like is
yeah.
this what this is? Like I don't understand what's happening.
Hell yeah, dude.
Like, is it just gonna look weird that like five white people and one black person are leaving?
Yeah,
Like,
hell yeah. That's funny. No, this is like, and I actually didn't want to say it. I wouldn't even want to say it because this is not even what we were. This is not even the crux of the argument. I personally don't agree, but also I don't disagree either because these are the things that I'm totally okay with. Like the fact that you felt that way, brother, I can't fucking tell you what I would give to go watch a Superman film and get the same feelings that you're getting from that movie. So the fact that you're getting it from that brings me joy. Genuinely so happy that because I personally feel like I have, like, just me personally, I haven't gotten that yet. This did not deliver that for me, and I feel like I have to wait, another fucking 12 years for them to reboot this franchise and just pray to fuck they give me what I wanted. But I genuinely am happy that your Superman, the person that lives up here and means something to you, I'm assuming it means something to you, like it means something to me. The fact that you got that on screen is a fucking gift. That's amazing. The fact that you get to enjoy that and endure through that and watch that movie and pull that from it, that's fucking that's chef's kiss. That's amazing. I wish I would have got that from it. I personally didn't, but that has nothing to do with what I was talking about before with
Yeah.
the good, bad, or the ugly. I was really going into that movie hoping that I was going to get that, but we all do kind of have our own, and this is completely separate from what we were talking about, but we all do have, we have our proclivities and we're looking for certain specifics out of these characters. Like you said earlier, like a lot of people really love The Dark Knight. And I like my personal Batman is a little bit closer to, I would even say, Batfleck's Batman.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Superman, superhero Batman. Superhero
yeah,
Batman is what I fucking want to see. I am
exactly,
that's
exactly.
this is the reason why I think Frank Miller should be retired early, let's say. Uh uh like to say early, like the man's like 90 at this point.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. You're
Like
40 years too
but
late
like
on that.
it's like he did this thing. He did this one thing and arguably great. Because I think at the time it was good, it was interesting. I think historically there are better Batman stories. But like he did this thing,
Definitely.
but then like everyone took this tone, this literally like decrepit, angry, bitter old Batman, and said, yeah, that's what Batman is, right? So he's just
Yeah,
like this angry guy. And I was just like,
yeah,
that's not the point. This is a different telling. Like you guys are missing the whole so just like that we got grimdark Batman for fucking 30 years, I was so mad. Like the fact that they're bringing back the blue and gray suit now in the comics, I'm the
yeah.
most excited. I'm the most excited about that because I'm like
100%.
because it's like
100%.
I want superhero Batman. I want Batman to be doing crazy shit. Like one of the best to me moments of the Batfleck era, well, two of the obviously the warehouse scene where Batman actually gets a
Yeah,
fight.
he
And I was like, fuck yeah.
fucks.
Like he
Yeah,
fucks those guys up. And
yeah.
I was like, that's Batman. And
Yes,
then
yes.
there's the shot, I think when they were going up against Doomsday. And there's just like he blasts the size of a building. He like turns, like hits the fucking grapple. I'm like, this is the fucking guy. This is the guy.
Yes, exactly. Yeah,
It's
and
like
that's a whole nother rabbit hole. But I'm also a huge fan of superhero Batman, and I've had I can't even tell you countless debates. I've seen a gentleman on TikTok making a gauntlet of Batman versus arbitrary Marvel heroes, and they were pretty much all like C-class heroes. And I think if memory serves, and I don't want to be wrong here, but I want to say he got to Hawkeye, and the guy said that Batman would lose, and I was like, dude, you like whatever
I love Hawkeye, but that's
content
bananas.
it's like whatever content you're consuming to where you think that fucking Batman S tier hero is losing to a C tier Hawkeye, you're fucking
I would also
higher.
argue C tier for Hawkeye is crazy.
Well, I mean,
B tier.
what,
I would Hawkeye put B tier.
no,
I
if
wouldn't
there's
put
an
him A
S
tier.
tier,
You know, he's not Captain America, but like Hawkeye,
I don't know,
Hawkeye's
man.
solid. Hawkeye, you look.
He's
Hawkeye
solid,
has
but
has leadership history. Hawkeye
he
has like
does.
legacy now. Like nah, Hawkeye's definitely at least B tier.
We'll agree to disagree, but either way, even put him at a B.
But like,
He's
but
not
since
beating Batman.
so
That's
on
not
that,
happening.
but I would say Batman could win that fight. And I would argue many fights, especially with like BC, anything lower, obviously. But like he could win most of those fights without prep time. Because like a lot of people are like prep time, prep time, prep time.
Yeah, I hate that
And
too. It drives me nuts.
I'm like, look, I understand that if Batman like had all the data, he could formulate the plan. Um, but like if it's just like they start a fight, you know, he's it's just with what he's got and what he can do. So like,
Yeah,
but I
he's
still
a
think he's
living
very,
tactician.
but he's also very talented and very skilled and can plan
Yeah,
on the go.
exactly.
Which
I don't know if you've ever read this, but there's a graphic novel, maybe 2000. I'm going to say 2011 to 2014, somewhere in that vicinity, and it's called The Last Will and Testament of Hal Jordan. And in that
okay, I know what
graphic
you're talking about.
novel, one of my this is when I'm always talking Batman to people. This is the scene in that comic, but that just always gets me, and it just rings so true to the Batman that I love so much in my soul. but it's essentially, and just in case you read, I don't want to give too much away, but it's essentially a young man talking to like an acolyte of Hal Jordan, and he says the kid asks him, and then he's telling him a story, and he says that the Green Lantern told him that the most important thing, if he ever had to disable the Justice League, the most important thing was to take out the most powerful hero among the Justice League. And the little kid says, "So you'd have to take out Superman first?" And he says, "No, Batman." I
Yeah,
always thought that was.
yeah,
I just always thought that was the fucking like to put that's the pedestal I want my Batman on, to where it's like even the Green Lantern in his head is like, this dude fucks so hard. I can do something with Superman, but if I don't get this fucking guy out, I'm losing. I just love that.
that I mean
I
that's I
love
mean
it.
like you I mean look at Grant Morrison, that first arc with the
Yeah,
Martians,
yeah.
like how I mean out of nowhere, planned out, however long in advance, they had the element of surprise fully. They took out every other Justice League member, and Batman's like, no problem.
Not today. Yeah,
Like no
yeah,
problem.
yeah.
But and like
Or
so
even in
so
sorry, even in New 52, where actually this happens twice. This is actually a reiteration of it, but in the New 52, when the Green Lantern meets Batman for the first time, and he's busting his balls, and he's telling him, "You're not. There's no way you're just a guy in a bat suit." And then
yeah,
he
yeah,
steals the ring, and
you weren't
he's like,
concentrating.
"Yeah, yeah." He's just like, that's my Batman. That pedestal that they put him on in comics, I love dearly.
Yeah,
Anyways, what
he
were you
figures it
gonna say?
out. Well, I was gonna say, so like on the subject of planning, I wanted to touch on Lex. So like
Okay.
just real quick, that was like you said Lex wasn't good. Like I'm just gonna paraphrase. You didn't like the Lex portrayal. Uh whereas I think uh the way they did it, at least based on like the Lex Luthor I have read historically and I've watched historically, Lex Luthor is to his bones a fucking hater. And that's what I liked in this movie. Like, does he have a character arc? No. But arguably, Lex Luthor has never had a character arc. From get, Lex Luthor has just been a xenophobic, racist piece of shit. And he just fucking hates Superman because he's an alien and because he's stronger than him. Because he inherently has something Lex could never get, not ever truly. That's why he builds the suits. That's why he builds his wealth to try to match the power that Superman has. So Lex has been a hater off rip. So for him to just have this moment of admitting it. Like, yeah, I know I'm not fucking stupid. I know it's envy and I fucking hate it. He's like, and it's actually like, I hate you more because I'm envious of you. And it's just like, I love that moment because I'm like, we're just buying into Lex Luthor is a hater. He's not fighting Superman to get rich like almost every other Lex Luthor in cinematography. Like in cinema history, like every other Luthor has been like, real estate thing, a lot of real estate shit for some reason. But like and then like Lois and Superman and Lois, a little bit more. It definitely turned into more like a personal thing. He hated him for a little bit more personal reasons, but also still like was very much a hater. And in this, he was just like an out proud fucking hater. I've essentially built a cult around myself for the sole purpose of killing you. And he had this prep time of 3 full years uh, to develop ways to combat him. And you were talking about how your statement was like he's not Superman except for like 10 to 20 seconds after he takes out the cameras, and that that sequence that follows that is like where he fights the clone and he takes out the Raptors. And I would argue that is the least thing about Superman. And I think moments like that, uh, going to the moment where he takes out the like field of doomsdays that Apocalypse sends in Superman and Batman graphic novel, uh, when Supergirl shows up on Themyscira. They send like a whole swath of fucking uh, Doomsdays, and he says everybody get back, and just like wide beam takes out a whole field. But like those moments hit because Superman is always holding back. Like we didn't get a real Superman fight in what 5 seasons of Superman the animated series and like 3 seasons of Justice League until the last fucking episode where he's like, "But you can take it, can't you, big guy?" And he just lets loose, and that is as powerful as it is because now we really know he's been holding back this whole time. And because Superman's always trying to save people, true Superman's always trying to protect people. So like when he was fighting the Hammer of Baravia, he wouldn't have gone all out. So the reason he lost the fight is because he, up until that point, and I think it's a little bit naivete, a little bit ego, he hadn't considered the possibility of someone being as strong as he is. So he didn't go all out. Whereas the other guy, who Lex says is more powerful than him, he's dumber than him, but he's more powerful than him. He says that he was going out all out the whole time and has Lex's tactics behind him of planning ahead. So Superman's not thinking that he's fighting himself with like advanced tactics, pre-planned tactics even. He's thinking this is just some dude with a suit from fucking Baravia. So I think that's why he
There's
lost that fight.
the we're gonna go down a rabbit hole in which we will never recover on the particulars of this. And these are creative decisions, and these are, we're not talking about the original argument here, but I'll entertain it for a moment. This to me again is poor writing. One, kind of true, kind of not. He kind of is going after Superman for a lucrative, or maybe at least the real estate comment that you had, because part of the reason he wants to get him out of there so he can have half of the country. But regardless, uh,
No, but he says that
the
it's the reverse. He says I generated this conflict so that I had an excuse to kill you.
yeah, you're right. And that's fine. And I don't really necessarily hate that. Like, I don't know that I dislike his resolve. I actually think that that's totally fine. I don't have any qualms with that. The making the excuse for him pulling back, pretty much, I loathe that argument. I've heard it a couple times for this movie, and I pretty much loathe it because what we're doing then is writing the movie for the person who was supposed to write it. And they didn't do that. And that drives me fucking nuts because
What do you mean?
you have the opportunity to do that. That happens. This happens in comics all the time. I live in a world of cardboard. Uh, when he stretches out on Darkseid, like this happens a couple times, but we didn't. That was never delivered, and it's just up for fan service for us to then write the story in our minds that that's what happened. But it was never delivered ever in this movie, delivered in that way. And also the opening sequence when he loses that fight, there's nothing in there. Like, again, I think we're making assumptions and excuses for bad writing. I think, just like you said at the beginning, how important it is, and this has actually came up multiple times in multiple comments, and it annoys me equally every time I see it. But people want to give this movie credit for Superman caring so deeply for other human beings and their safety. But the movie opens up with him losing the fight, going to the Fortress of Solitude, having a casual conversation with 4, 5, and 6, and sitting there and listening to a fucking repeat of his parents talking while he gets sun rayed. And then even when he gets up, he's not even really hastily getting out of there. He's having a kind of a casual conversation with them. And then they're leaving, and they're like, "You couldn't beat him at 100%. You're only at 80%." And he's like, "Yeah, I got to try." And he goes back. But all the while, all of Metropolis is left facing a metahuman, and millions of lives are at stake. But Superman chooses to leave, have his dog pick him up, and then take him back to the Fortress of Solitude, all while he has no idea. Millions of people could be dying to a person that he's not strong enough to beat. So, how the fuck are normal humans going to be handling that guy? And that, again, is bad writing. And we give him the benefit of this. This is what I don't like. We give him the benefit of caring so much about humans and like being that type of hero. But when he doesn't do it, we don't scold him for it. And by him I mean the writing. So it's like, and this happens a couple times in that movie, but so it opens up with a sequence where you could introduce an instance like he didn't have to fall near the Fortress of Solitude and have the dog take him back to the Fortress of Solitude and resun being up. He could have, that opening scene could have happened where he's crashing into the street or into a building or whatever the fuck it is, and he could stand up and be like, "I'm gonna fucking lose this, but people's lives are at stake, so I'm gonna fight to the bitter end," which is generally what Superman does. And so it's like we have on one hand he cares so much about people, and that's like what you were saying, that you love that part about him so much, that he cares about people so much. But then in the writing, he leaves combat and leaves all of Metropolis with 100 million people in it just to face this metahuman that he can't fight, but he willfully leaves. And not only does he leave, he goes back to the fortress to recharge and takes his sweet fucking time to do that, and then takes his sweet fucking time to get back there, only to get his ass beat again, thrown to the ground, quit again, until the metahuman eventually just leaves on his own accord. So,
But
there's good
here's
in there.
here's my thing though. I don't, and maybe I'm not recalling it, but I feel like I'm pretty accurate here. I don't think it was ever said that he left. I
It doesn't matter if he loses or not. I mean, what
no no
happened?
no.
Because
I
where's the Fortress of Solitude? How far could he have possibly thrown him? I mean, you're talking
but
how
but
far?
but like
Across the
if
planet?
and again this you're right, this definitely could have been written better and more explicitly. But the way I'm seeing it is Lex knows it's somewhere in the Antarctic. He doesn't know where, so he has the hammer launch him to Antarctica and says and then says, "Hey, engineer, follow him." Again, it's not explicit, so
Yeah, not great.
I would say it is very much explicit that he's holding back though, because the whole kaiju fight is him holding back. That's the whole premise.
He holds back in that for sure.
Yeah,
And
and I
that
think
there is a
that's
premise
that
there.
then explains why he's not why he's not winning that fight. Why, like, I think it retroactively explains the initial fight, and then it fully explains the later fights. He's not trying to kill anything, as much as he can.
But he doesn't want to kill anything. But more than not wanting to kill anything, he doesn't want people to die.
Yeah,
Superman doesn't, like, historically, he doesn't, he cares. There's a relation to Batman in this, but Superman cares more about one person than Batman cares about 1,000. He doesn't leave combat knowing that he's going to leave the city of Metropolis with a person that can beat him and leave 100 million people back. This is
and that,
bad. Again, this, to me, this is just bad writing.
no,
It's
no,
not good writing.
I agree with you. I agree with you. I don't think Superman leaves. That's why I think, just based on the rest of the film and based on like the level of planning that Lex had, it seems more plausible to me. Again, it should have been explicitly written.
Correct. Correct.
Um,
But that needs
but
to be written in if that's
yeah,
what's going to be the
it
case.
just it seems much more plausible to me based on the rest of the narrative, that he got thrown there so they could figure out where the fortress is. But
As far as
I
Lex,
don't think
though, he
I
was
don't think he quit the second time though. I think he tried to get up, but the hammer did his little speech and dipped. I don't think he tried. I don't think he gave up. I
kind
think he
of.
tried to get up, and he was like, "Fuck, I'm still fucked up."
Yeah, fair and fine. I'd have to rewatch it to get a full scope of it. It wasn't what I drew from it right up the way. I mean, you're right. I wouldn't say the word quit, but certainly defeated and certainly, out of it mentally and physically. But maybe he didn't quit. I don't know. I'd have to rewatch it. As far as Lex is concerned, yeah, I didn't feel like the character was very strong, to be honest. Again, pretty much zero character development on him. And like I said in the video, we as comic book fans, this is what fuels us. Like the villain is as important as the hero is, especially in cinema. And to have a good villain, you have to have development, and he had none, very little, if any. And Lex is also a fucking dog, dude. Like, the Lex that I would like to see, because they can do whatever the fuck they want. They have creative freedoms to do so, and you can offer in new things. Like, I'm sure Jesse's version of Lex Luthor was some people's favorite. I will never be able to comprehend that, but I'm sure he was, to some people, their favorite version of Lex Luthor, and that's wild to me. But I
Oh,
this again is,
Eisenberg. Yeah, no,
yeah,
absolutely not.
but this is the more subjective stuff. And again, it's not that it's not worth the conversation. It's just not what I would like. I would not go out on my shield in this stuff, because again, these are just feelings and opinions. But it was a I think the casting was actually great. I was super excited about the casting, but Lex Luthor is a fucking dog, and that guy didn't feel that way. And he felt like a bumbling, arrogant, needy teen, and I just didn't love that. But that's just me. That, like, I'm not going to argue with you on that, because it's just not the Lex Luthor that I like. I get $400 million, the ability to write the movie and direct it. That's just not the. I might even do the same casting because I like the casting quite a bit, but I didn't love the way he was written. I don't know why. This is actually kind of goes back to the Frank Miller side of things. That I think there was like a President's Left with Lex Luthor in the early films in the '70s, and we've never really fully been able to escape that and fully um, like what do you say, antiquate the comic book variant of him into film. And I do blame that on the earlier films, but I really would rather see a comic book variant of Lex Luthor be brought into the picture. Like, like my sister asked me the other day how it was either my sister or my wife asked me how I would describe Lex Luthor, like what kind of Lex Luthor would I want to see on screen? And this is for speed only because obviously this is well, it's convoluted to say this, but I think it rings true to some degree. I said to her the easiest and the quickest way that I could describe what Lex Luthor is to Superman is if you were to take Batman and give him the same privileges that he had, but make him a cocksucker. And that's what Lex Luthor would be. They have very similar qualities about them in
Right.
that both of them are very intelligent and very disciplined. And also both of them in the comic variants that I like personally are also in peak physical condition too. Like no normal human could fuck with Lex Luthor physically on planet Earth. He's superhuman generally speaking because he's obviously he not only does is he disciplined and takes care of his body, but then he uses extracurriculars to make sure that he is above and beyond what a normal human is. And he
Sure, yeah,
has
in
a
some interpretations, yeah.
yeah, and he's so intelligent that he has like a maybe like what you would consider to be like a quiet arrogance about him. Like he certainly is arrogant, but he's so intelligent and so aware that he's above pretty much every other normal
Sure.
human on Earth, that he carries himself in that way. So the only like reaction you get out of him is like almost never in the ones that I like in the variants that I like of him is never like an emotional one. He's not an emotional guy like Batman's not an emotional guy in the iterations that I like of him. But what you will get out of him is anger and rage. That's what you will get out of him in certain situations, but it takes a lot to push him to the point of being angry and rageful. And this one,
Yeah,
he
yeah.
felt like he was perpetually in a state of emotion, not even just rage, but like he would get irritated very easily. But the Lex that I like is broad shouldered. Like even when he loses in things, it's just an opportunity for him to recalculate and reanalyze and
Right.
go at it in a
No,
better
I
way.
see what you're saying for sure. I definitely see what you're
Yeah,
saying. I would say a lot of that is visible in like the animated series
definitely,
Lex Luthor.
definitely. Yeah,
Um
yeah. That's just what I'd like to see, but
yeah,
I
yeah.
don't have any. I don't have any. I'm not. That's not what I do. I
No,
don't.
yeah, for sure.
Yeah, yeah,
And I feel you on that. I definitely think that it's there is a departure in the characterization, if not like the motivations and the like sort of
yeah,
the
yeah, yeah. I would like to
the
see him be a
drive.
dog. I want to see like
But it feels like he could. It feels like this could be like
I
step
agree. I
one,
agree.
and like now, because it from what I saw, maybe in the trailer for Peacemaker season 2, it looks like the Justice Gang's going to be in there at least for a little bit at some point.
Mhm.
I wonder if we're going to have like since we're talking, there's prisoners involved and stuff like that. Waller's involved. I wonder if we're going to have a Lex Luthor scene and maybe get some of that development for him.
Which would be
'Cause-
good. I would love
yeah,
that.
and I would love that because that would be, I think, using the whole chessboard. I
Yeah,
think a lot of like Marvel, as much as I love the MCU and I truly do, I think Marvel fails to do that a lot. I think Marvel fails to use the full chessboard. Like they'll have the TV show for something, and then
right,
like
right,
the next time you see the character, if you see the same character, it's like nothing translated or not enough translated. Whereas
right.
I personally, I would be like, hey, like I would have built up the relationship between Ross and did you see Brave New World? I didn't want to spoil it before I said it.
No, no.
Okay. The villain of the movie, uh, I would have built that relationship up in the shows. At
Right, right,
least
right,
at least in the Captain America show, like some
right.
sort of, but I think they have. the way they plan these movies, and I don't know that I'm sure that it's the same for DC now, but like historically, it's very much seemed like broad stroke planning and being like we'll sort of fit in all the other stuff. Whereas I think at least so far with the two and a quarter projects, you know, with the canonization of much of Suicide Squad and much of season one of Peacemaker,
Right.
um, I think Gunn is using the whole chessboard. I think he's like gonna develop characters that then get used elsewhere and can like like intermix between these projects better. And I think having that will make it feel more like the comics, will make it feel more like the animated universe. Whereas like you don't like if let's say you didn't watch this movie, but you like really love Peacemaker season one and jump into season two, like you're not gonna get like a guy who didn't experience Superman. Like
Right.
he
Right.
will have learned those lessons and moved on. So like yeah, he's still going to be cocky guy, but like maybe he's going to have a little more emphasis on teamwork and like trying harder and like doing things for others. Like
Yeah. Yeah.
because eventually in the comics, guy does become that guy. But
Yeah.
like you
Yeah.
know like but it's like you will have a path to understand where that change happened but like for instance, and this isn't like a big spoiler in Brave New World, but like Bucky is like in Senate or running for Senate, like one or the other. He's like a
I did.
senator.
I know. I did see it. I did see it.
Okay, okay.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
like but like there was like that arc doesn't exist. There was no arc with him like nothing in Falcon and the Winter Soldier
Right.
indicated
Right.
that that's where he was going. Nothing.
Right. Right.
So like to just decide that, like you at least with Ross becoming at some point Secretary of State or Secretary of Defense,
Yeah.
whatever he was, like in Civil War, like he became that. So like we know he's on a political track. So him becoming
Right.
president makes sense. Like we've seen a
Yeah. Yeah.
growth. But
Yeah.
like
We've seen him work all the way up, even from
yeah, so
Hulk.
like
Yeah.
Bucky just now he's a senator. I was like,
Yeah.
but
Yeah.
why? Like,
Yeah.
why is
Yeah.
he a
Yeah.
senator?
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
Like,
I actually thought the same thing when I seen it as well. I was like, this is a weird turn.
like
Like,
I got the gag, but like, and then
yeah.
also immediately to have him like leave the Senate and in the Thunderbolts, then just go back to being a superhero.
I
Like, so
think
then
it
what
was
was the
the
point? Like,
Yeah, I think it was like a quick. I don't know, and this is the shit I hate because I agree with you on this, but I hate that we have to write it in our heads and it not just be on film. But I think it was the easiest way if you skipped if like I think they were thinking if somebody skipped all of the sub criteria, so like if they didn't see Falcon and Winter Soldier and they didn't get any of that, it was their easiest way to say that this guy's a good guy now. I think it was their easiest way to say even though you've only seen these particular movies, even
post
America is
Civil War, oh,
accepting.
post Endgame rather.
Yeah, like I think they're just like America has accepted this as a good person. Like he's good now.
I
Like
see
I
what you're
just think
saying.
it was like, yeah, I'm assuming it. They didn't say that, but it
Yeah,
just
yeah, no,
feels,
that makes sense. That makes sense because
yeah,
yeah, like it's very much just like Wanda, but like I will never not be mad at Raimi for not watching WandaVision though. He like got the fucking Cribs notes from the fucking showrunner or
oh, you're
whoever.
talking about in Doctor Strange?
Yeah, and
Yeah, yeah,
Multiverse of Madness, like
yeah, yeah, yeah,
because like you, it, we all wrote the like 10, let's say 5 minute scene that backtracks and explains how we went from she thinks her kids are scared at the end of WandaVision and calling for her
yeah,
to her being crazy and trying to destroy the multiverse to try to find a version of the kids. Like
yeah,
we all had to write that, like you said, we all had to write that for us, and that's fucking
yeah.
crazy. And
It,
it's
it
like it
is
wouldn't have
crazy.
taken much. It would not have taken like a little
It really
montage of
wouldn't
like
have.
every time she opens the book, the story changes a little bit and it gets darker and it like
Yeah,
just convinces her to do other shit. And it's like, all right, cool. Now that we know that it's twisted her,
yeah,
we're sold. But it's just
yeah.
like immediately the
It
first thing we
happened.
see, she's already
Yeah,
fucked up. And I'm
yeah,
like,
yeah.
wait, what the fuck? Like
Yeah, and she was really fucked up. Like that was the thing. It
she
wasn't even
she
like,
was like willing to kill somebody, like a
yeah, yeah,
child. She was willing to kill
yeah,
a child, destroy the multiverse potentially
yeah,
for the potential to have some kids.
yeah.
Like,
She was just bad immediately, and you're like,
yeah,
"Fuck, man, what happened?"
yeah,
Yeah,
fucking left turn. Like you like
yeah, yeah. No, I agree. I hate that shit. I wish because it just like you said, it takes like moments. Like you could like even if you have to do it sloppily, you can do it pretty fucking quickly, especially
Yeah,
in comic book movies where people suspend disbelief and just like let shit happen. So it's like, just give me fucking 5 minutes, Sam. Like
yeah,
fuck, man.
yeah.
Yeah,
It doesn't like a lot of this stuff doesn't need to happen in 20 minutes. It doesn't have to be a whole episode or
yeah,
a
yeah,
whole subplot of a film. Give me something simple. Like if you
yeah,
give me, I mean, let's say for Lois, right? If she shows up on Peacemaker asking questions, that just bolsters her characterization.
for
We
sure.
don't even need to know what the story she's writing is.
Yeah.
Like,
Hopefully I hope we can remember this conversation, and I hope that you will. After on Sunday when you watch Fantastic Four, reach back out to me because there's a very important and this is no spoiler again, but there's a very I want to touch on this after you see the movie
sure,
because
sure.
I think we'll both get a kick out of it.
I'm definitely excited to have that conversation too.
Yeah, yeah,
All right. Well, I know I've held you for a fucking 3 hour session
yeah.
here, so
It's all good. My only reason I'm even rushing a little bit is because I'm actually packing my shit to move across the country, and I have
jeez.
to wake up tomorrow and do it again. So I'm just trying to
No,
get a little bit of
and
a
and
views
that's a
before
pain
that.
in the ass. I know. We moved last year and we moved 20 minutes in one direction. Like we didn't move far at all, and I
Yeah.
feel like I'm still not done. So
Dude,
I
it's a
get it.
nightmare.
I get
It's a
it.
nightmare. I'm moving across the country. It's so involved and it's like fuck. So it's been a wild ride. But anyways, I do sincerely appreciate the conversation. I think we kind of both leave having an understanding of what it is. And I guess I would be remiss if I didn't say I actually agree with you. I think the thing that I agree with you the most on is that you are right. 99.9%, if quantifiable, people that are going to have this interaction or reaction off films are doing it exactly how you say. They're not going to be analytical about it. And there's nothing wrong with that. And they go into movies and that's what they do. They stop their 9 to 5 job. They get excited about a movie.
Yeah.
They don't have a ton of experience within the realm of comics or maybe even cinema, and they're just going there to have a time. And as long as they have that time when they go there and they feel like they love it when they leave, and then you get some fucking bearded Jew telling you that the movie fucking that the movie fucking sucks. And then they're like, wait, fuck you. I love that movie. You're a fucking piece of shit. You don't know what you're talking about. And that's actually totally fine and fair. I think I know. I mean, I don't think I know that going into it, but I'm an analytical human being and also apparently a very tired one. And my words and the words of other people mean a lot to me. So when I'm very specific, so when people say something like "this is the greatest comic book movie of all time," that was my only bite back to it. I'm brought to joy that people love the movie, and like you in particular, the fact that you said that it delivered to you the Superman that you've wanted to see on film for the majority of your life. That's incredible, and I'm happy for everyone who enjoyed the film. My only argument again, and this is the last time I'll say it because I'm just getting a broken record here, is that critically, I just don't believe the movie is critically a good movie, but that doesn't mean that the movie's not good to you or you or you or you or whoever the fuck it's good to. And I'm happy that people like it.
Absolutely. Yeah. I definitely think we both came away with a new understanding of each other's position and the whole kind of idea that's being discussed.
Yeah,
I definitely have some great great considerations. Like I said, I typically don't even dive this deep into stuff. So like
yeah,
having the opportunity to discuss, like having the opportunity to have someone challenge my thoughts on the movie, and also having essentially agreeing with you on a lot of stuff, like the characterization not being great, and still really feeling like I really fucking love this movie, sort
that's
of
great, dude.
reinforces that feeling. Because it's like to me,
Yeah,
that means that I really genuinely enjoy this movie. I'm not like giving it passes because like there's definitely been movies in the past where I've seen it and I'm like, no, I love it, and then it's like people challenge me on it, and I'm like, yeah, okay, and then like it definitely like brings it down. But
yeah, yeah.
I haven't haven't had that feeling at all. I still love the movie, and still I think top five for me. So
I'm happy for you. I'm glad you said that. I'm sorry. I'm keeping you two.
you're
I
good, man.
actually fucking hate that. I mean this. It's a fucking wild ride up here in this fucked up brain of mine. And I actually loathe, and I mean this because this has been this way for years. This is just, I can't, this is just who I am. And I can't change it. But I actually I make a conscious effort to go out of my way, especially in my like circle of friends, to not do this for the reason you just described. It actually it like hurts me a little bit if I do challenge people and then I do realize that it actually makes their experience a lesser experience. It actually fucking kills me. I actually don't like that. I don't bring any joy out of that at all. So with you saying that, I wasn't conscious of this as I was going through it, but now that I am, because I'm dealing on the internet and I'm not dealing in person, and we all are, we're all subject to make mistakes when it's not right in front of your face.
Of course.
I wish I actually would have never made the post, because now I wonder, because I mean, it's not like it got like fucking millions of views or anything, but it did get, I mean, between the four, there's thousands of views on it and a lot of comments. And I hope that some person didn't watch my video and then go, "Oh fuck, actually, the
Right,
movie
right.
didn't have those things, and now I like it less." I don't want anybody to like it less.
I
If
think it
anything,
really I think it truly depends on where you are. Because for me, just like a real quick little anecdote for you. At the end of Man of Steel, where he's got him in the chokehold, and I remember being in the theater and literally thinking, I'm like, what's the Superman way out of this? Like, what? How does he get out of this without letting the family die? And it's like, and then I like yelped. I was like, because I was just like I like, didn't know what was happening because I'm like this is not the Superman way out, and then I like essentially had to justify it to myself, and I sold myself from like a jaded perspective on like yeah like like people just wouldn't accept it if it was like a kind of a happy-go-lucky like finale, like he figured out a way to like it like wouldn't be as good, like people wouldn't like it as much, like I had to like sell it to myself, and then
yeah,
eventually I saw like convinced my cousin. And it's funny because now I've been because like your posts and like other conversations about Superman have made me think back on Man of Steel, and I'm like, oh man, like here's like all this stuff I didn't like about this movie. That in 2011 I was so jazzed to have a Superman movie that I was
yeah,
like willing to excuse away anything to like be
yeah,
like, oh, I'm super excited about this.
yeah,
And then it's like from that we went to Batman v Superman, and it was like this is not the fucking path. Like, why are they fighting? Like, I was just,
yeah.
there's like all, and the Snyderverse is a whole different video. But I'm just saying, like, it's like it really depends on where we are in our lives and like the perspective we're coming from at the time. Because like, I feel like this movie for me right now is perfect. I am like, ironically, with everything that's fucking happening, I'm feeling the most hopeful that I think I have in a long time. And I think this is like perfect timing for me. And I'm thinking out of necessity because of everything that's happening in the world, I think it's the like the message of hope in this movie, which I think is very, very strong. Um I think is needed for a lot of people. So I think people are latching onto it. And I think that's where a lot of the like pushback comes for any criticism of it, because people need that hope and they need something to
Mhm.
like be like sort of unquestionably good.
Yeah, yeah. No, and
So
I agree. I agree with you, and I love that. And I hope if anybody does watch this that that's seen any of my comments, I hope that it didn't deter you from liking the movie. I never, and I said it many times in every video. That was never my intention. I said multiple times, if you like the movie, I'm happy for you. But I'm just a fucking analytical fuck, man. That's just how I am, and I can't help myself, and I'm not perfect. So
hey,
it
my,
just
my
is
best
what it
friend
is.
always tells me that I'm like a piece of shit asshole on the internet because I'm like I'm actuallying people all over the place. I'm like, but certain things are just facts. You can't argue facts.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. That's my whole life. That's all that's going on up here is just a fucking mess of that, but a Rolodex of it. But anyways, I appreciate you having me on the show. I genuinely do. It was an honor to be
Hey,
on here and have a good conversation with you, brother.
it's absolutely been a blast. Hit him with your socials. Where can people find you? See your art.
It's Jordan Michael Johnson on everything. Like if you're looking for me, it's just Jordan Michael Johnson art on everything. You can
Got it.
find me. I'm there.
Perfect. Awesome. Thank you for being here. Thank you for the fucking 3 hours, three and a half almost.
Yeah,
And
absolutely.
we'll definitely do this again for Fantastic Four. Maybe not three
Yeah,
hours.
yeah. Please don't. Let's not do 3 hours. But yeah, hit me up when you watch. I'm excited to hear how you like it or don't like it.
Will do. All right. Thank you so much.
All right, buddy.
See
Bye
ya.
now.
All right, that's going to be it for this one, folks. Thank you for watching. Thank you for listening. Make sure you go check out Superman in theaters. We want to try to get it past that 500 marker. I feel like that's where it's safe. That's where it becomes safe. Not quite necessarily uh, 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 indestructible. Not quite necessarily like impervious to being canceled as a universe, but I think we gotta get it over 500 million. So if you have, I've done my part. I've done 3 movies, 3 theaters. I'm maybe even trying a fourth. We'll see if another friend of mine wants to go see it. She hasn't yet, and yeah, just go see the movie. I really love it. If you watch this whole thing and did not watch the movie, crazy, crazy. But be back here next time for a discussion about Fantastic Four, and then I've got a bunch of other stuff as well, and a couple other videos planned. So make sure you like, subscribe, do all the YouTube things. I am Dalibor Zujovic, the Indie Hype Man, and I will see you in the next one.